What if the last sound you heard before sleep was the whisper of a katana being drawn? For centuries, the samurai lived by silence, ritual, and the sharp edge of steel. But they were more than fighters. They were poets, philosophers, and protectors in a world ruled by emperors, warlords, and ancient codes. Feudal Japan was a land of mystery, a place where cherry blossoms fell like snow, where loyalty meant more than life, and where entire families were shaped by honor. From the rise of the first shogunate to the fall of the samurai class, this is a tale of power, beauty, and transformation. As the night deepens, we'll drift through the misty mountains of Kyoto, walk through wooden temples, and listen in on the secret councils of the elite. So close your eyes and rest. Let the distant drums of ancient Japan lull you into calm. This is more than a bedtime story. It's an entire era waiting to be remembered. The origins of Japan's samurai. A long time ago, in a land surrounded by the sea, there was an island nation called Japan. Japan wasn't always the peaceful and organized place it is today. It was full of chaos, with many small groups and clans fighting each other. This was called the feudal era. The people who lived in Japan during these times needed protection, and that's when the samurai first appeared. But before they became the warriors we know, the samurai came from humble beginnings. In the beginning, Japan was ruled by powerful leaders known as emperors. These emperors were in charge of the entire country, but they couldn't be everywhere at once. They needed help to keep the peace, protect their land, and make sure people followed the rules. So they started to rely on warriors called bushi. These warriors were different from normal soldiers. They had a special role to protect their land and to serve their lords. The word samurai comes from an old Japanese word that means to serve. These men were not only soldiers, but also trusted servants to the local rulers called daimyo. The samurai didn't just fight. They also helped with running the land, solving problems, and making sure everything worked smoothly. They were supposed to be brave, honest, and disciplined. Over time, the samurai grew in importance, and the need for their services became more and more critical. Now, let's go back even further to understand why the samurai became so important. The history of Japan goes all the way back to ancient times. Long before the samurai appeared, Japan was divided into smaller regions, each ruled by a chieftain. These regions often fought each other over land and power. In the early years, Japan was ruled by powerful families. These families controlled the land and were the ones who decided who would lead their warriors. As Japan grew, these powerful families became the heads of clans, which were large groups of families that worked together to control land, resources, and people. But the real change came when Japan was hit by a series of wars. These wars were often fought over land, resources, and the ambition of leaders who wanted to gain more power. During these wars, the need for skilled warriors grew. That's when the samurai really began to stand out. In the beginning, samurai were often common men, farmers, and villagers. They were trained to fight with simple weapons like swords, bows, and spears. But over time, they became more skilled and organized. Samurai warriors trained for years in combat, learning not just how to fight, but also how to live with honor. The samurai were taught to follow a special code called Bushido, which means the way of the warrior. This code was their guide for how to live, how to fight, and how to treat others. It was built around values like loyalty, bravery, and honesty. A true samurai was supposed to be like a knight in shining armor, protecting the weak and showing respect to everyone, especially their lord. One of the most important aspects of Bushido was loyalty. A samurai's loyalty was not just to his family or his clan, but to his lord. If a samurai's lord was in danger or needed help, the samurai would fight to protect him, even if it meant sacrificing their own lives. The samurai's weapons were also an important part of their identity. The katana, a long curved sword, became the symbol of the samurai. The katana was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of honor. The samurai took great care of their swords, cleaning them carefully and polishing them until they shone. The sword represented the samurai's soul. If a samurai lost his sword or dishonored it was as if he had lost his honor. But being a samurai wasn't just about fighting. It was also about living a disciplined life. They had to be calm, patient, and wise. They studied arts like calligraphy, tea ceremony, and poetry. A samurai had to be cultured, not just a fierce fighter. This mix of skill, honor, and culture made the samurai unique. As the centuries passed, the role of the samurai grew even more important. By the 12th century, Japan was in the middle of a great civil war. The country was divided into two powerful factions, the Taira and the Minamoto. These two families fought for control of Japan, and this war is known as the Genpei War. The Genpei War was a battle between these two clans, with each side fighting for dominance. The Minamoto family, led by a man named Minamoto no Yoritomo, emerged victorious. After the war, Yoritomo became the first shogun of Japan. A shogun was a military leader who controlled the army and had more power than the emperor. When Yoritomo became the shogun, he established the Kamakura shogunate, which was a new form of government in Japan. This government was led by military leaders, not the emperor. The emperor still existed, but his power was now just symbolic. The real power was in the hands of the shogun and the samurai. The rise of the shogun changed Japan forever. The samurai, who had once been ordinary warriors serving powerful families, were now at the center of Japanese life. They became the ruling class, with their own lands, wealth, and responsibilities. The samurai were no longer just soldiers, they were the rulers of Japan, and their way of life would shape the country for centuries. As time passed, Japan's feudal system became more complex. Samurai were not only warriors, but also landowners and administrators. They were responsible for managing the land, collecting taxes, and making sure the people lived by the law. The samurai were expected to be both warriors and rulers. They were trained to fight and protect their land, but they were also expected to manage the people who lived on that land. This was a big responsibility, and the samurai had to be wise, just, and fair. If they failed in their duties, they could lose everything, including their honor. And so, the samurai began their long and storied journey, shaping Japan's history in ways that would last for generations to come. The rise of the samurai class. As Japan entered the Kamakura period, with the first shogun, Minamoto no Yoritomo, in power, the landscape of the country began to change dramatically. The old ways of clan leaders and local rulers still existed, but the samurai were beginning to hold real political power, something that would reshape Japan forever. While the samurai were no longer just ordinary warriors, they still carried with them the same values of loyalty, honor, and duty that defined them from the very start. Their role, however, evolved. They were no longer only defenders of their land, but also enforcers of the law and agents of the shogun's authority. This shift in their role would not only affect the samurai themselves, but would also influence the entire society of Japan. Under the Kamakura shogunate, the samurai became the ruling class. While the emperor remained in Kyoto, his influence over the country had diminished. The shogun, now the head of Japan's military government, made all the important decisions. He controlled the army, the economy, and even the lives of the people. This was a huge change. The samurai, once merely warriors serving their lords, were now in charge of maintaining peace and order across the entire country. The samurai's rise to power marked the beginning of a new way of life in Japan. The samurai didn't just live to fight, they now lived to rule. They were given land to manage, taxes to collect, and the responsibility of overseeing their fellow citizens. The life of a samurai became much more complex. They needed to balance their skills as warriors with their roles as landowners and political figures. The land that the samurai ruled was often called a han, a domain granted to them by the shogun in exchange for loyalty and military service. These lands were scattered all over Japan, and each samurai or family of samurai would rule over a particular area. Their role was to ensure that their land was productive, that the farmers paid taxes, and that the people obeyed the law. But even more than that, they had to show the values of Bushido, loyalty, honor, and justice. The samurai did not just have a responsibility to their land, but also to the people who worked the land. Farmers, merchants, and craftsmen lived in these domains, And while the samurai were in charge, they were expected to treat the common people fairly. Samurai were seen as protectors, not just military leaders. Their actions were meant to reflect their commitment to upholding the law, keeping peace, and ensuring that society would work smoothly. The samurai's loyalty to their lord was absolute. They would fight for their lord, sometimes to the death, even when it meant going against their own family or friends. This loyalty was part of Bushido, the samurai code. Bushido wasn't just a set of rules for combat, it was a way of life. The samurai believed that their honor was worth more than life itself. During the Kamakura period, Japan was also becoming more organized militarily. Samurai began to use advanced techniques in battle and developed a new style of warfare. The use of the bow and arrow was perfected, and horseback combat became a common practice. Samurai on horseback were able to strike quickly and move across the battlefield with great efficiency. But as time went on, a new challenge emerged. With the growth of samurai power came the growth of conflict. The very same warriors who were meant to bring peace were now finding themselves involved in battles for power. It wasn't long before these samurai began to fight among themselves for control over land, influence, and wealth. This led to a series of civil wars and power struggles, which would continue to shape Japan for centuries to come. The most famous of these wars came in the form of the Onin War. This conflict took place during the 15th century and was a battle between two powerful samurai families, the Hosokawa and the Yamana. The war was sparked by a dispute over the shogun's leadership, and it plunged Japan into chaos. The Onin War wasn't just a battle between two families. It became a symbol of the samurai's struggle for dominance. The Onin War led to the rise of the Warring States period, a time of constant warfare and shifting alliances. Samurai lords fought for control over vast territories, leading to widespread destruction and instability across the country. This was a dark time for Japan, but it also marked a turning point in the development of the samurai. Throughout the Warring States period, the samurai continued to refine their skills and adapt to the changing nature of warfare. They began to use new weapons, like the matchlock gun, which was introduced by the Portuguese in the 16th century. Samurai were quick to adopt this new technology, using it in battle to gain an advantage over their enemies. But even as they became more deadly warriors, the samurai's role in society continued to evolve. They were not just soldiers, they were also diplomats, administrators, and artists. Samurai were expected to have a well-rounded education, not just in the art of war, but also in cultural pursuits like poetry, tea ceremonies, and calligraphy. This cultural side of the samurai was just as important as their martial skills. It was said that a true samurai could not only wield a sword, but also write poetry that expressed the deepest emotions. The samurai were trained in the art of balance, and this balance was reflected in every aspect of their lives, from the way they fought to the way they lived. As we move forward in the story of the samurai, we will see how this complex warrior class continued to shape Japan's history. But one thing is clear, the samurai were not just soldiers. They were a symbol of Japan itself, brave, honorable, and deeply connected to the land they swore to protect. The rise of powerful samurai lords. As Japan's feudal system continued to evolve, the samurai's role in society became even more critical. During the Warring States period, or Sengoku Jidai, Japan was a land of constant conflict. The power struggles between different samurai clans reached new heights. Warriors were no longer just fighting for their local lords. They were fighting for control of entire regions, and eventually, the entire country. At the heart of this turmoil were powerful samurai lords, known as daimyo. These lords commanded vast armies and ruled over large territories. Their goal was simple: to gain more land, wealth, and influence. But achieving this goal wasn't easy. The daimyo were in constant conflict with each other, battling for dominance and attempting to expand their territories at the expense of their rivals. One of the most significant events during the Sengoku period was the rise of three key figures who would change the course of Japan's history. These figures were Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. Each of them started with relatively little power, but through skill, strategy, and sheer determination, they would each become powerful leaders in Japan. Oda Nobunaga was the first of the three to rise to prominence. Born in 1534, he was a daring and ambitious warrior. Nobunaga was known for his ruthless tactics and innovative strategies. One of his most famous battles was the Battle of Okahazama in 1560, where he defeated a much larger army using clever tactics and surprise attacks. Nobunaga was also one of the first to recognize the importance of firearms in battle. When Portuguese traders introduced firearms to Japan in the 16th century, Nobunaga quickly adopted them. He used matchlock guns in his battles, changing the way samurai fought. This gave him a technological advantage over many of his rivals, making him one of the most formidable leaders of his time. However, despite his success on the battlefield, Nobunaga's reign was cut short. In 1582, he was betrayed by one of his own generals, Akechi Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide ambushed Nobunaga, forcing him to commit seppuku, a ritual suicide. Nobunaga's death marked the end of one chapter in Japan's history, but it was also the beginning of another. After Nobunaga's death, his loyal general, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, rose to power. Hideyoshi had been a peasant before he became a samurai, but his rise to power was nothing short of remarkable. He was known for his intelligence, charm, and political savvy. After Nobunaga's death, Hideyoshi quickly filled the power vacuum, using a combination of military victories and diplomatic alliances to unite Japan under his rule. One of Hideyoshi's greatest achievements was the unification of Japan. He defeated many of the remaining rivals to his power and brought an end to the Sengoku period. Hideyoshi was also known for his efforts to control the samurai class. He instituted a number of laws that restricted the samurai to a more peaceful administrative role, limiting their ability to wage war on their own. Hideyoshi's reign, however, was not without challenges. In 1592, he launched an invasion of Korea, hoping to expand Japan's influence in the region. The invasion was a failure, and Hideyoshi's health began to decline. He died in 1598, leaving behind a fragile empire. After Hideyoshi's death, Japan once again plunged into uncertainty. The fight for control of Japan was now between Hideyoshi's generals, with Tokugawa Ieyasu emerging as the most powerful contender. Ieyasu was a calm and calculating leader, and he had been a close ally of both Nobunaga and Hideyoshi. But he was also biding his time, waiting for the right moment to seize power for himself. That moment came in 1600, during the Battle of Sekigahara. This was the final decisive battle of the Sengoku period, where Ieyasu's forces defeated the remaining opposition and took control of Japan. With his victory, Ieyasu became the most powerful man in Japan. In 1603, he was appointed shogun by the emperor, officially establishing the Tokugawa shogunate, a military dictatorship that would rule Japan for over 250 years. This marked the end of the Sengoku period and the beginning of the Edo period, a time of relative peace and stability in Japan. Under the Tokugawa shogunate, the samurai were no longer constantly fighting for land and power. Instead, they became the elite class, responsible for maintaining order and overseeing the country's administration. Samurai were required to follow a strict code of conduct, with loyalty and discipline being the cornerstones of their way of life. The Tokugawa shogunate created a stable society that lasted for centuries. During this time, Japan was largely isolated from the rest of the world. The Tokugawa government implemented strict policies to keep foreign influence at bay, limiting trade and contact with other countries. This period of isolation helped preserve Japanese culture and allowed the samurai class to flourish. However, despite the peace, not all was well within the samurai class. Many samurai found themselves without a purpose. With the end of constant warfare, many of them were left without the opportunity to prove their skill in battle. As a result, samurai life became focused more on administration, art, and philosophy. Some samurai turned to teaching, others to writing, and many became scholars of the arts and literature. Though the samurai were no longer fighting in the same way they once did, their legacy continued to influence Japanese society. The way they lived, honor, discipline, and devotion to their lord, became ideals that many people in Japan aspire to. The influence of the samurai was felt even beyond the battlefield, and their culture continued to shape the way Japan was governed and lived for many generations. The samurai in peaceful times. As Japan entered the Edo period under the Tokugawa shogunate, the samurai's role in society began to change drastically. The country was no longer embroiled in constant war and conflict, which had defined the previous centuries. The Tokugawa shogunate brought stability to Japan, ending the violent struggles of the Sengoku period and ushering in an era of relative peace that would last for over 2.5 centuries. With this new peace, the samurai had to adapt. No longer were they required to constantly fight on the battlefield or defend their lands. Instead, their role became more focused on administration, maintaining law and order, and overseeing the various regions of Japan. While the samurai still held a special place in society as the warrior class, their lives were no longer dominated by combat. During the Edo period, the samurai were part of a strict social hierarchy. At the top of this hierarchy was the shogun, who held supreme power over the country. Beneath the shogun were the powerful daimyo, who ruled over individual regions, or han. These daimyo were often samurai lords themselves, responsible for managing their lands and ensuring their subjects were well cared for. Beneath the daimyo were the samurai, who served as retainers. These samurai were often part of the military or administrative class, and were expected to maintain the peace and enforce the laws within their domains. However, without wars to fight, many samurai found themselves struggling to justify their position in society. They had spent their entire lives training for battle, and now they were faced with a more peaceful existence. In many cases, the samurai became bureaucrats, collecting taxes and overseeing the affairs of their lord's domain. They lived in castle towns and managed the economic activities of the region. Some samurai found themselves working as diplomats or scholars, while others engaged in the arts, such as tea ceremonies, painting, or poetry. Despite these changes, samurai culture remained deeply rooted in tradition. The code of Bushido continued to guide the samurai, influencing how they carried themselves in society. One of the most significant changes in the lives of samurai during the Edo period was their economic situation. With the end of constant war, many samurai found themselves in a financial crisis. The land they had once relied on for wealth and power was now largely peaceful and not as lucrative. To make matters worse, many samurai were paid with rice rather than money, which led to economic challenges when the value of rice fluctuated. In some cases, samurai were forced to live on very modest salaries, struggling to make ends meet. This created a divide between the samurai and the rising merchant class, who were becoming more prosperous due to the increasing trade and economic development in Japan. While the samurai were still considered the elite class, many of them found themselves dependent on the merchants for basic goods. The merchant class, which had once been looked down upon by the samurai, began to gain significant influence during this time. Merchants and traders thrived in the peaceful environment created by the Tokugawa shogunate. They were the ones who helped fuel the growth of Japan's economy, making huge profits by buying and selling goods in the growing cities and towns. Some merchants even grew so wealthy that they rivaled the samurai in terms of power and influence. Despite the economic challenges faced by many samurai, their social status remained high. They were still the respected warrior class, and their position in society was largely protected. However, the growing wealth of the merchant class created tension between the two groups. Samurai began to feel threatened by the prosperity of the merchants, and there were occasional confrontations as both classes sought to maintain their place in the social hierarchy. At the same time, the samurai continued to maintain their martial training. Even though they weren't fighting in wars, they still practiced their combat skills, trained in archery, swordsmanship, and horse riding. Martial arts became an important part of samurai culture, and many samurai spent their time perfecting their techniques, ensuring that they remained sharp and disciplined. Another key aspect of samurai life during the Edo period was the importance placed on education and culture. With the absence of war, samurai were encouraged to pursue intellectual and artistic endeavors. Many samurai became scholars, poets, and artists, contributing to the rich cultural history of Japan. Samurai were also expected to live with great discipline and to adhere to the values of Bushido, which emphasized loyalty, honor, and respect. These values were not just reserved for battle, but were seen as essential in everyday life. Samurai had a strong sense of duty to their lords, and their commitment to their role in society was unwavering. One of the most enduring cultural traditions of the samurai during this time was the practice of seppuku, ritual suicide. While it may seem like a strange practice, seppuku was considered a way for a samurai to preserve their honor. If a samurai had been dishonored, committed a crime, or failed their lord, they might choose to end their life rather than live with the shame. This act of suicide was seen as a way of maintaining dignity and upholding the values of Bushido, even in the face of death. The Edo period also saw the rise of a unique samurai culture. As samurai became less focused on battle, they turned their attention to other pursuits, such as the tea ceremony, shinoyu, poetry, haiku, calligraphy, and the study of philosophy. Samurai were expected to be well-rounded individuals, combining their martial skills with cultural refinement. This blend of warrior spirit and artistic expression gave rise to a distinct form of Japanese culture that remains influential today. Despite the peace of the Edo period, the samurai faced a slow decline in their power. Over time, the Tokugawa shogunate's rule became more oppressive, and the samurai found themselves increasingly isolated from the changing world around them. The merchant class grew in influence, and Japan's economy shifted. New ideas and technologies began to trickle into Japan from the outside world, and samurai were forced to contend with these changes. As the samurai adapted to this new way of life, their once strong influence began to wane. The coming of the Meiji Restoration would bring about the final transformation for the samurai, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a new Japan. The end of the samurai era. As the Edo period stretched into the 19th century, Japan began to face a new set of challenges. While the samurai had once been the heart of the nation, their way of life was now in decline. The Tokugawa shogunate, which had brought so much peace and stability to Japan, was beginning to weaken. Outside forces, especially Western powers, were starting to knock at Japan's door, threatening to open up the country to the outside world. One of the most significant events that began to change Japan forever was the arrival of Commodore Matthew Perry from the United States in 1853. Perry's mission was to open Japan to trade with the West, something that had been strictly forbidden under the Tokugawa shogunate's policy of isolation, known as Sakoku. For over 200 years, Japan had shut itself off from the rest of the world, and the samurai, along with the rest of society, had grown used to this isolation. But Perry's arrival, with his modern steamships and advanced weaponry, shocked Japan. The country's leaders realized that Japan was far behind the Western world in terms of technology and military power. The old feudal system and the samurai way of life, which had once seemed so strong, now appeared increasingly outdated in the face of Western modernization. In 1854, after intense pressure, Japan signed the Kanagawa Treaty with the United States, agreeing to open 2 ports for American ships and allowing Western trade in Japan. This event, known as the Opening of Japan, marked the beginning of a new era. It also marked the beginning of the end for the samurai. The arrival of foreign influence and the rapid modernization of Japan led to a dramatic shift in society. The samurai, who had once been the elite class, found themselves struggling to keep up with the changing world. The government, which had been run by the Tokugawa shogunate for over 2 centuries, was becoming increasingly ineffective. Many samurai, who had once been warriors and administrators, now found themselves in positions where their traditional skills were no longer as valuable. The discontent among the samurai began to grow, especially as they faced economic difficulties. As the merchant class grew richer, samurai salaries, which were often paid in rice, became less reliable. Many samurai were unable to support themselves, and their frustration mounted. Some samurai began to feel that Japan needed a strong central government to restore its power and independence. in the face of foreign threats. This frustration led to a rise in political movements calling for the restoration of the emperor's power. In 1868, this movement culminated in the Meiji Restoration. The Tokugawa shogunate was overthrown, and the emperor was restored to power, marking the end of centuries of samurai dominance. The new government, under the leadership of Emperor Meiji, was determined to modernize Japan and transform it into a strong, industrialized nation. This was seen as Japan's only hope of surviving in a rapidly changing world. The Meiji Restoration brought sweeping changes to Japan's political, social, and economic systems. One of the most significant changes was the dismantling of the samurai class. The new government wanted to create a modern army and economy, and the traditional samurai system simply didn't fit into this new vision. The samurai were stripped of their privileges, including the right to carry swords. They were no longer given land or paid with rice, and their special status in society was eliminated. The government introduced a new conscription system, creating a modern army made up of commoners rather than just samurai. The samurai were gradually absorbed into this new system, but their traditional way of life was fading away. Many samurai resisted these changes as they felt their identity and honor were being erased. Some chose to fight against the new government, while others sought new roles in the modernizing society. But no matter what path they took, the samurai as a distinct class was coming to an end. In 1877, a final tragic chapter in the story of the samurai was written. A group of former samurai, led by the disillusioned Seigo Takamori, rose up in rebellion against the Meiji government. This was the Satsuma Rebellion, and it represented the last attempt by the samurai to resist the changes brought by the Meiji Restoration. The rebellion was crushed by the new imperial army, which was made up of conscripts rather than samurai. The defeat of the Satsuma Rebellion marked the final end of the samurai's role in Japanese society. While the samurai were no longer in control of Japan, their legacy did not disappear. The values of Bushido, honor, loyalty, and discipline continued to shape the culture of Japan. The spirit of the samurai lived on in the new modern Japan, influencing the military, politics, and even the arts. The samurai were no longer the rulers of the country, but their ideals remained an important part of Japan's identity. In the years that followed, Japan rapidly modernized, becoming a major power in the world. The country industrialized, adopting Western technology and ideas while still holding on to its unique cultural heritage. The samurai, once the warriors who fought for their land, became symbols of Japan's past, and their way of life became a romanticized ideal for future generations. Despite the end of their political and military dominance, the samurai left a deep imprint on Japanese society. Their influence can still be seen in modern Japan, in the way people live, work, and approach life. The samurai were not just warriors, they were also artists, philosophers, and leaders who shaped the culture of their time. The samurai's legacy in modern Japan. Although the samurai class was officially dismantled during the Meiji Restoration, their influence didn't disappear. In fact, it permeated the very fabric of modern Japanese society, leaving behind a legacy that still echoes in the country today. Despite no longer being a political or military force, the samurai's ideals, honor, loyalty, discipline, continue to shape Japan's identity. The samurai ethos was deeply embedded in the culture of Japan. One of the key elements of their legacy is the code of Bushido, which remains a source of inspiration for many. Bushido, which translates to the way of a warrior, emphasized values like loyalty, self-discipline, courage, and honor. These virtues were not just for the battlefield, but for everyday life. Even in the face of change, many Japanese people continue to adhere to these ideals, especially in their work ethic and relationships with others. The concept of seishin, or the spirit of the samurai, remains a powerful symbol of Japanese strength and perseverance. This spirit can be seen in how Japanese people approach challenges in business, sports, and even personal development. The samurai were taught to remain calm in the face of adversity and to always strive to be the best version of themselves. This mindset has been passed down through generations, and is still reflected in Japan's focus on precision, respect, and continuous self-improvement. In the realm of business, the samurai ideals helped shape Japan's renowned work ethic. Companies like Toyota, Sony, and Honda have made excellence a core value, much like the samurai sought perfection in their martial arts and daily lives. The rigorous discipline and commitment to quality that were once associated with the samurai class now manifest in the precision and dedication of Japan's manufacturing industries. Beyond business, the legacy of the samurai is felt in Japan's martial arts traditions. While many modern martial arts have evolved from the techniques and philosophies developed by the samurai, they still emphasize many of the same principles. Kendo, Judo, and Aikido, for example, all trace their origins to the samurai. These martial arts are not just about fighting. They are about self-control, respect for others, and maintaining a calm, focused mind. The influence of samurai training is still seen in how practitioners approach life, striving to balance physical strength with mental clarity. One of the most visible remnants of the samurai's legacy can be seen in the continued reverence for their weapons, particularly the katana, the famous samurai sword. The katana is not only a weapon, it is a work of art, crafted with extreme precision and care. Samurai swords are highly valued in Japan, often seen as symbols of honor and craftsmanship. The tradition of sword making in Japan has been passed down through generations, and many modern artisans still follow the methods used by samurai blacksmiths hundreds of years ago. The katana remains an enduring symbol of the samurai's spiritual and martial prowess. The samurai also left a lasting impact on Japanese aesthetics and culture. Their love for beauty and refinement can be seen in the traditional Japanese tea ceremony, calligraphy, and poetry. Samurai were expected to be well-versed in the arts, and their contributions to Japanese culture helped shape a society that values elegance and mindfulness. The samurai's ability to balance the warrior spirit with artistic sensitivity created a unique cultural blend that continues to influence Japanese life today. In addition, the samurai's role in shaping Japan's military culture is significant. Even after the samurai lost their official status, their legacy lived on through the Imperial Japanese Army, which adopted many of the samurai's martial techniques, values, and even symbols. The notion of Bushido was incorporated into the military ethos, which was crucial during Japan's involvement in World War II. Though the use of Bushido in the military was controversial and linked to extreme nationalism, the samurai's influence on Japan's military strategy and conduct of war was undeniable. Culturally, the samurai's story has been immortalized in literature, film, and television. Stories of samurai warriors, their battles, and their honor have captivated audiences both in Japan and around the world. From the Hagakure, a famous samurai text written in the early 18th century, to the works of renowned authors like Yukio Mishima, the tales of the samurai continue to inspire and evoke deep reflections on life, death, and the meaning of honor. Samurai-themed films and television shows, such as Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and The Last Samurai starring Tom Cruise, continue to be celebrated worldwide. These films portray the intense conflict between tradition and modernity, showing the inner turmoil that the samurai experienced as their way of life came under threat. Through these portrayals, the samurai's virtues of honor, loyalty, and sacrifice are still honored in popular culture. Furthermore, the idea of seppuku, or ritual suicide, while no longer practiced, continues to be discussed in relation to honor, integrity, and personal sacrifice. In modern Japan, the act of seppuku symbolizes the ultimate way to maintain one's dignity in the face of failure or disgrace. Though the act itself is no longer a common practice, the cultural understanding of it remains a powerful symbol of personal responsibility and the importance of protecting one's honor. In education, the samurai's influence can still be seen in the way Japanese students are taught. Japanese education places a strong emphasis on discipline, respect for others, and self-improvement, all qualities that the samurai upheld. The education system itself, which is one of the most rigorous in the world, encourages students to push themselves to their limits, reflecting the samurai's commitment to excellence and their philosophy of continuous self-betterment. While the samurai era may have ended over a century ago, their contributions to Japan's identity and way of life continue to resonate. The virtues they upheld are still alive in the hearts of many Japanese people today. Whether in business, the arts, sports, or military, the spirit of the samurai endures, reminding people of the power of discipline, honor, and perseverance. Though the samurai are no longer the warriors of the battlefield, they are still warriors in the hearts and minds of the people. They represent the strength, honor, and resilience that continue to define Japan, even in the modern world. The samurai in popular culture and global influence. As we look deeper into the legacy of the samurai, we realize that their influence isn't just confined to Japan. Over time, the ideals and stories of the samurai have made their way into global popular culture, shaping how people around the world view warriors, honor, and discipline. The fascination with the samurai transcends borders. Their image as noble warriors, bound by a code of honor, has captured the imaginations of people in countries far beyond Japan. Samurai stories, whether real or fictional, have inspired countless books, films, and even video games, many of which have shaped how we think of warriors in general. One of the most famous samurai films is Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, 1954. This film, often regarded as one of the greatest films ever made, tells the story of 7 samurai hired to protect a village from bandits. The film not only captures the tension between tradition and change, but also highlights the values of sacrifice, bravery, and teamwork. Seven Samurai became a global classic, inspiring remakes and adaptations, such as The Magnificent Seven, a famous American Western. Kurosawa's films were instrumental in introducing the samurai ethos to the West. His depiction of the samurai, often as noble but flawed warriors, challenged traditional Western ideas of heroism and introduced a new archetype of warrior, one who wasn't just a fighter, but a man deeply connected to a personal code of honor. Following in the footsteps of Kurosawa, many Western filmmakers began exploring samurai themes in their own works. Films like The Last Samurai 2003, starring Tom Cruise, took the story of the samurai to international audiences, portraying the decline of the samurai during the Meiji Restoration. The film portrayed the internal conflict of a foreign soldier coming to terms with the samurai's virtues, showing the clash between the old world of tradition and the new world of modernization. In the realm of video games, the samurai have also had a significant presence. Games like Ghost of Tsushima 2020 have introduced players to the world of the samurai through interactive storytelling and immersive gameplay. Ghost of Tsushima, for example, allows players to experience the life of a samurai in feudal Japan, emphasizing values such as honor, sacrifice, and the struggle between personal duty and the armed forces of war. This video game became a critical and commercial success, making the samurai ethos accessible to a new generation of global players. Not only have samurai movies and games reached global audiences, but the samurai themselves have become symbols of broader themes. In popular culture, the idea of the samurai has evolved into a symbol of personal discipline, self-mastery, and ethical conduct. Whether in martial arts movies, books, or even modern-day business practices, the samurai archetype is often invoked to represent individuals who embody resilience, wisdom, and unyielding determination in the face of adversity. One of the most fascinating aspects of the global appeal of samurai culture is its intersection with other martial traditions from around the world. For instance, the samurai's dedication to perfecting their combat skills resonates with martial arts practitioners everywhere. In the West, the samurai influence can be seen in the way martial arts like karate, judo, and kendo are practiced. While these martial arts may have originated in Japan, the underlying philosophy of martial discipline has a universal appeal. For many practitioners, samurai values such as respect, perseverance, and mental clarity are just as important as physical technique. Furthermore, samurai values have influenced leadership theories and practices globally. Business leaders and entrepreneurs often cite the samurai's commitment to discipline, honor, and loyalty as guiding principles in their own work. Books on leadership and business often use the samurai as a model for strong leadership and personal development. Concepts like leading by example, doing what is right over what is easy, and remaining calm under pressure are principles that can trace their roots back to the samurai way of life. In addition, the samurai philosophy has inspired a wide range of artists and writers, both in Japan and abroad. Many Western writers, such as Ernest Hemingway and Joseph Campbell, were influenced by samurai stories, with themes of duty, honor, and sacrifice finding their way into their works. Hemingway's love for Japan and its culture, for example, is reflected in his works like The Sun Also Rises and A Farewell to Arms, where themes of stoicism and personal duty resonate with the code of Bushido. The samurai's presence in the world of sports, particularly in combat sports, is another testament to their enduring influence. The discipline of martial arts, particularly in the context of the samurai's strict training and code of conduct, can be seen in disciplines like judo, karate, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. These combat sports emphasize mental focus, respect for opponents, and the continual pursuit of self-improvement, traits that were central to the samurai's martial philosophy. Even in the world of fashion, samurai culture has left its mark. Traditional samurai armor, with its distinctive designs and detailed craftsmanship, has inspired modern clothing styles, from streetwear to high fashion. The distinct aesthetic of samurai armor, which represents strength, elegance, and cultural pride, continues to influence contemporary design, blending the old with the new in creative ways. It's clear that the samurai are far more than just warriors from the past. Their culture, philosophy, and values continue to shape the world in unexpected and profound ways. The samurai aren't simply figures of history. They are enduring symbols of strength, honor, and discipline, whose influence stretches across borders and cultures, from business to art, from movies to sports. The story of the samurai is one of resilience in the face of change. Though their era has passed, the lessons they left behind of courage, sacrifice, and loyalty remain timeless. In the modern world, where the pace of life often feels relentless, the samurai remind us to pause, reflect, and act with integrity. Whether in the boardroom, on the battlefield, or in daily life, the spirit of the samurai continues to guide and inspire. The samurai in the modern world, an evolving symbol. As we move deeper into the modern world, it's clear that the influence of the samurai is not just a thing of the past. The values and ideals that they upheld centuries ago still resonate with many people across the globe. These warriors, who once fought to defend their lands, now stand as powerful symbols of personal discipline, honor, and commitment to one's principles. The samurai spirit, though no longer active on the battlefield, has evolved into a symbol of internal strength and moral clarity in today's world. One area where this legacy is most visible is in the world of personal development and self-improvement. The samurai's commitment to bettering themselves, both physically and mentally, has influenced modern self-help philosophies. Their relentless pursuit of mastery, whether through combat or art, is mirrored in the modern-day quest for personal excellence. In a world where technology often takes precedence, the samurai's dedication to honing one's skills through persistence and focus offers a stark reminder of the value of self-discipline. Many motivational speakers and life coaches reference the samurai's ethos as a model for developing the kind of resilience needed to face modern challenges. Whether it's the commitment to a fitness goal, the discipline required in learning a new skill, or the perseverance necessary to overcome personal adversity, the samurai way offers a framework for tackling these challenges with honor and integrity. One of the samurai's key values was their unwavering loyalty, especially to their lord or cause. In today's world, this can be translated into dedication to one's work, community, or loved ones. Samurai understood that their honor was tied to their ability to remain steadfast and loyal, no matter the cost. In modern contexts, loyalty is seen as an essential quality for successful leadership, building trust within teams, and maintaining relationships. The idea of loyalty also extends to the concept of Kaizen, the Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement. In many ways, Kaizen is the modern interpretation of the samurai's commitment to constant self-betterment. The belief in incremental progress, making small, continuous improvements to one's skills and work ethic, echoes the the samurai's approach to their craft. For the samurai, even the smallest task was an opportunity to learn and improve, a mindset that continues to be a core value in many of Japan's business practices today. In the world of martial arts, the samurai legacy remains incredibly strong. As mentioned earlier, traditional martial arts like kendo, aikido, and aikido all have their roots in the samurai traditions. These arts are not simply about fighting. They are about cultivating the mind and spirit as much as the body. Modern martial artists, regardless of their origin, often adopt the same mental discipline that the samurai practiced. This includes maintaining a sense of calmness and focus, both on and off the mat, and treating others with respect and dignity. In fact, many modern martial artists find inspiration in samurai culture, looking back to their teachings for guidance. The samurai were, after all, not just fighters. They were scholars, poets, and philosophers. The balance between physical strength and mental clarity is a concept that has been passed down through generations of martial arts practitioners. Even in the realm of modern technology and business, the samurai's influence can still be seen. Japanese corporations like Toyota and Sony are known for their rigorous attention to detail and relentless pursuit of quality. These traits, grounded in the samurai's value of discipline and perfectionism, continue to be central to Japan's success in global markets. The emphasis on teamwork and personal responsibility that the samurai displayed in their warrior codes has found its way into corporate structures around the world, with managers and employees alike adopting principles that emphasize loyalty, integrity, and accountability. Even in leadership, samurai principles can be applied. In the corporate world, leaders who embody characteristics similar to those of the samurai, decisiveness, responsibility, and respect, are often praised for their ability to inspire their teams. By focusing on the greater good, a samurai leader would think not only of the benefit of themselves, but of their team and society as a whole. Similarly, today's leaders are expected to act with transparency, honor their commitments, and lead by example, just as the samurai did with their own followers. The idea of sacrifice, a deeply embedded part of the samurai code, still resonates with people today. Whether it's in the context of career goals or family responsibilities, people in the modern world often find themselves needing to make sacrifices in order to achieve a higher purpose or to stay true to their values. While the samurai were prepared to sacrifice their lives for their cause, modern-day individuals often make smaller sacrifices, time, comfort, or convenience, in the pursuit of personal or professional growth. These sacrifices reflect the same dedication that was at the heart of the samurai's warrior spirit. One particularly interesting modern adaptation of the samurai's legacy is found in Zen Buddhism, which has grown significantly outside of Japan in recent years. Samurai were often practitioners of Zen, using meditation to clear their minds, sharpen their focus, and center their energy. This practice, centered around mindfulness and being present in the moment, has been embraced by millions worldwide, particularly in the areas of stress management and mental health. Modern professionals, athletes, and even students turn to Zen practices, many of which trace their origins back to the samurai's use of meditation as a means of gaining clarity in battle and in life. Furthermore, the samurai's aesthetics, especially their art, craftsmanship, and design, continue to influence modern-day Japan and the world at large. The clean, minimalistic design that is often associated with Japanese culture, from architecture to product design, can be traced back to samurai ideals. The samurai's love for simplicity, elegance, and functionality is reflected in the modern Japanese approach to design. Today, companies like Apple and Muji are recognized globally for their minimalist designs, which echo the principles embraced by the samurai in their armor, swords, and daily objects. The samurai's influence on fashion is also evident in both high fashion and streetwear. Their armor, with its clean lines and elegant patterns, has inspired contemporary designers, and their aesthetic is often reflected in modern clothing styles. From samurai-inspired jackets and accessories to high-end fashion collections that draw on traditional Japanese clothing, the spirit of the samurai is alive in the fashion world. In literature, samurai tales continue to inspire authors and poets. Works like the Hagakure, a samurai manual from the early 18th century, providing modern readers with insights into the samurai's way of life. The principles of honor and duty outlined in these texts continue to captivate readers, whether in historical fiction or philosophy books. The Samurai in Contemporary Japan, Reflection and Identity. In contemporary Japan, the influence of the samurai is still felt in many aspects of daily life, even though the samurai as a class no longer exists. Modern Japanese society, while being one of the most advanced and innovative in the world, continues to hold the samurai's legacy in high regard. This legacy is deeply intertwined with Japan's national identity, cultural values, and even its approach to life and work. In many ways, the samurai represent the traditional ideals that Japan values deeply: discipline, respect, humility, and a commitment to perfection. These values are not just relics of the past, but are still woven into the fabric of contemporary Japanese society. Whether in the family, the workplace, or in national pride, the samurai's influence continues to shape the way people live and work. The samurai's contribution to the field of education is particularly notable. In Japan, students are taught the importance of hard work, discipline, and honor from an early age. These principles, deeply rooted in the samurai tradition, are instilled in children to encourage them to work diligently toward their goals. The school system itself encourages group cooperation and individual responsibility, with students often learning to respect not only their teachers, but also their peers. The samurai's emphasis on personal responsibility and respect for others is thus reflected in the modern-day emphasis on teamwork and respect in Japanese schools. The workplace culture in Japan also reflects samurai values. Japanese companies are known for their strong emphasis on hierarchy, loyalty, and long-term commitment, values that mirror the feudal society of the samurai. In a corporate setting, employees often work for the same company for their entire careers, demonstrating the same loyalty and commitment that a samurai would show to his lord. Additionally, the workplace is seen as a place where respect and humility are essential, in line with the samurai's ethical conduct. In modern Japan, the samurai also continue to be celebrated through various festivals, traditions, and cultural events. One of the most notable of these is Bashin no Eki, or the Samurai Memorial Day, which is dedicated to remembering the samurai's role in shaping Japan's history. During these celebrations, people dress in traditional samurai armor, reenact famous battles, and engage in martial arts demonstrations. These events not only honor the samurai's legacy, but also remind people of the resilience, honor, and discipline that the samurai embodied. Moreover, Japan's commitment to preserving its cultural heritage includes honoring the samurai's contributions to art, literature, and philosophy. The samurai were not only warriors, but also artists, poets, and philosophers who contributed significantly to Japanese culture. Their influence can still be seen in modern Japanese art, from the traditional ukiyo-e woodblock prints to the more contemporary works of artists and calligraphers. The samurai's aesthetic sense continues to influence Japanese architecture and design, where simplicity, elegance, and functional beauty remain highly valued. Japan's traditional arts, such as the tea ceremony, flower arranging, ikebana, and calligraphy, also carry the spirit of the samurai. These practices are not just about creating beautiful objects, but about cultivating mindfulness, precision, and grace. The samurai's connection to these refined arts shows how deeply the ideals of discipline, respect, and focus permeated all aspects of their lives. In modern Japan, these arts remain a vital part of a cultural experience, with many young people studying them as a way to stay connected to their heritage. In the realm of sports, too, samurai ideals continue to inspire. Traditional martial arts like kendo, aikido, and judo are practiced by people of all ages, with a strong emphasis on mental discipline and respect for one's opponent. The competitive spirit in these sports, coupled with the samurai philosophy, focuses on self-control, humility, and the pursuit of personal excellence. These martial arts are more than just physical activities. They are paths of personal growth, allowing individuals to connect with the samurai legacy of perseverance and inner strength. Despite Japan's rapid modernization, the samurai remain a strong symbol of national pride and unity. during times of crisis or national challenge. The spirit of the samurai is often invoked to remind people of their strength, resilience, and commitment to their country. The samurai's ability to adapt, persevere, and fight for what they believed in is a timeless message that resonates even in the face of modern challenges. Moreover, the influence of the samurai can be seen in Japan's approach to global diplomacy and defense. The samurai were not just warriors, they were also strategists, diplomats, and thinkers. Japan's foreign policy, particularly in its interactions with other countries, often reflects a desire to maintain its sovereignty while remaining open to international cooperation. The balance between maintaining one's own identity and being adaptable to change is a concept that can be traced back to the samurai's approach to warfare and diplomacy. The samurai also represent a sense of personal sacrifice for the greater good. In times of national crises, such as natural disasters, Japan's people often come together in a way that reflects the collective spirit of the samurai. This sense of unity, selflessness, and service to others is a central aspect of Japanese culture today, and it's rooted in the ideals that the samurai upheld during their reign. Though Japan has evolved into a modern, industrialized nation, the samurai's enduring influence continues to shape not only the country's culture, but also the way it perceives its identity in the world. The samurai's values, honor, loyalty, discipline, and sacrifice are seen as timeless virtues that provide a solid foundation for individuals and society as a whole. The samurai in global perspectives. While the samurai's direct influence in Japan is undeniable, their legacy has also found a prominent place in the global cultural landscape. The samurai have become a symbol of discipline, honor, and strength that transcends cultural boundaries. Their story has resonated deeply with people from different countries, inspiring not only films, books, and art, but also how we think about the nature of warriors, leadership, and ethics. The global fascination with the samurai can be traced back to Japan's period of isolation, which lasted for over 200 years, during which little was known about the country outside of its borders. The samurai remained an enigma to the Western world, an almost mythical presence. But in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, as Japan began to open up and modernize, Western interest in Japanese culture grew dramatically. One of the key turning points in the Western perception of the samurai came with the publication of the Bushido by Anatsu Naito in 1900. Naito, a Japanese scholar, wrote the book to explain the concept of Bushido to the West, drawing parallels between samurai values and the ideals of chivalry in medieval Europe. The book was widely read and helped to solidify the samurai as a symbol of honor and discipline in Western minds. It portrayed the samurai as noble warriors, guided by a strict ethical code that mirrored the values many Western societies admired. Since then, the samurai ethos has continued to inspire and influence not only literature and cinema, but also the global martial arts community. The samurai's commitment to discipline and personal growth has been adopted by martial artists worldwide. The principles of Bushido, such as respect, courage, and self-control, are not only the foundation of samurai culture, but also the foundation of many martial arts disciplines practiced around the world today. In Hollywood, samurai films have long been a staple, particularly the works of Akira Kurosawa, whose films introduced the world to the tragic and noble nature of the samurai. Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and Yojimbo were not only groundbreaking in terms of their cinematic artistry, but also influenced Western filmmaking. The American Western genre, in particular, owes much to Kurosawa's portrayal of honor-bound warriors who navigate the complexities of a violent world. The archetype of the lone, stoic hero facing insurmountable odds can be traced directly to the samurai's character, and this has permeated global storytelling in countless forms. In addition to films, samurai themes have found their way into novels, video games, and television shows. Movies like The Last Samurai 2003 further cemented the samurai's iconic status, presenting them as noble albeit doomed warriors fighting to preserve their way of life against the forces of modernity. The movie, while dramatized and fictionalized, resonated with audiences because it explored timeless themes of tradition versus progress, duty and sacrifice. Video games like Ghost of Tsushima 2020 have brought the world of the samurai into interactive entertainment, allowing players to embody a samurai during a pivotal time in Japanese history. These games often explore the duality of the samurai's world, torn between their martial skills and the delicate cultural practices that made them more than just warriors. Through these games, players from around the world are given the opportunity to experience the intense moral dilemmas and cultural depth that the samurai embodied. The impact of the samurai in the West is also reflected in their representation in various forms of art. Samurai-inspired art often appears in tattoo culture, with images of warriors, swords, and armor representing a desire for personal strength, honor, and resilience. The samurai's philosophy is used as a way to connect with the ideals of facing challenges with dignity and perseverance. Tattoos featuring samurai imagery, whether in Japan or the West, are a powerful reminder of the samurai's ability to maintain inner peace and strength in the face of adversity. Beyond pop culture, the samurai also left an imprint on global leadership theory. Many contemporary leadership theories have drawn on the samurai's approach to personal responsibility, loyalty, and strategic thinking. The concept of leading by example is central to Bushido and has found its place in the corporate world, with leaders striving to cultivate trust and respect through their actions rather than merely through their positions of power. The samurai, who were expected to show unwavering loyalty and protect their people, serve as models of ethical leadership, particularly in difficult times. Furthermore, the samurai's adaptability in the face of modern change has provided inspiration for entrepreneurs and innovators worldwide. While the samurai may have lived by their traditional codes, they were also flexible enough to learn new techniques and integrate them into their existing ways of life. This adaptability has become a key principle in business, where leaders are constantly encouraged to innovate, pivot, and evolve their strategies in order to stay competitive and relevant. At a broader level, the samurai have influenced global cultural movements that focus on mindfulness, self-discipline, and personal well-being. The samurai's focus on mental clarity and meditation, combined with their martial practices, has inspired many Westerners to adopt practices like Zen meditation, mindfulness, and other forms of mental training. The rise in interest around these practices has helped promote a deeper understanding of how the samurai's internal strength was just as important as their external skills. The samurai's ability to balance the warrior's mindset with cultural pursuits such as poetry, tea ceremonies, and calligraphy has also resonated with people around the world who seek a balance between professional ambition and personal growth. This is reflected in the modern fascination with the concept of work-life balance, a principle that emphasizes the importance of not only achieving success, but also maintaining inner peace and personal fulfillment. In the world of competitive sports, particularly in the individual sports where mental fortitude is key, such as tennis, boxing, and martial arts, the samurai archetype serves as a guiding model for athletes seeking to push their limits. The samurai's dedication to pushing through adversity, their unshakable mental clarity, and their commitment to training and improving day after day are qualities that many athletes around the world try to emulate. The impact of the samurai, then, is vast and multifaceted, going far beyond the shores of Japan. Their influence continues to be felt in every corner of the globe, from Hollywood films to business practices, from martial arts to mindfulness, and from leadership theories to personal development. The samurai, though no longer active on the battlefield, have become timeless symbols of strength, honor, and perseverance that transcend cultural boundaries and continue to inspire people to live with purpose, integrity, and resilience. The spiritual aspect of the samurai, seeking balance. While the samurai are often remembered for their martial prowess, one of the most profound aspects of their legacy is the spiritual and philosophical framework that guided their lives. The samurai were more than just warriors. They were individuals who sought balance between mind, body, and spirit. In their quest for mastery over themselves, the samurai embraced various spiritual practices that helped them cultivate inner strength, clarity, and harmony. The samurai's connection to Zen Buddhism is perhaps one of the most significant spiritual influences that shaped their worldview. Zen, a branch of Mahayana Buddhism, emphasizes meditation, mindfulness, and direct experience over intellectual study. For the samurai, Zen offered a way to calm the mind and sharpen their focus. Samurai monks and warriors often practiced Zen meditation, known as Zazen, to center themselves and achieve mental clarity before heading into battle. The practice of Zen helped the samurai approach life with a sense of stillness and presence. In the midst of combat, the samurai were expected to maintain a calm and focused mind, free from fear or hesitation. This mental discipline allowed them to make split-second decisions, react to their opponent's movements with precision, and fight with an almost spiritual detachment from the outcome. Zen meditation taught the samurai to live in the present moment, unburdened by doubt or distraction. This focus was essential in battle, where even a momentary lapse in concentration could result in death. Zen also taught the samurai to accept death as a natural part of life. The concept of mu, emptiness, or nothingness was central to Zen thought. It represented the idea that attachment to material things, and even to one's own life, could lead to suffering. The samurai embraced this philosophy, understanding that death was an inevitable part of existence. The knowledge that death could come at any moment helped the samurai live with a sense of urgency, focusing on what truly mattered: honor, loyalty, and self-mastery. Another critical aspect of samurai spirituality was their connection to the Shinto religion, the indigenous belief system of Japan. Shinto, which revolves around the worship of natural spirits known as kami, played a crucial role in shaping the samurai's relationship with the world around them. Shinto beliefs emphasize harmony with nature, respect for ancestors, and a sense of duty to one's community. For the samurai, the reverence for kami extended to their respect for the land and its people. Samurai were not merely warriors, but also stewards of the land, responsible for the well-being of the people who lived on it. The idea of kami also reinforced the samurai's sense of responsibility and honor. Their actions were seen as guided by the divine will of the spirits, and they were expected to act in accordance with this higher moral order. In addition to Zen and Shinto, Confucianism also had a significant influence on the samurai. Confucianism, which emphasizes the importance of virtue, hierarchy, and respect for authority, provided the samurai with a framework for social behavior. The samurai adhered to a strict code of conduct that reflected Confucian principles of loyalty, filial piety, and righteousness. This code of behavior extended not only to their lord and comrades, but also to their families and communities. The samurai were expected to be models of virtue, upholding moral standards and contributing to the well-being of society. The spiritual life of the samurai was not just limited to meditation and religious practice. It was also evident in the way they approached everyday life. The samurai often engaged in artistic pursuits like calligraphy, poetry, and tea ceremonies, practices that were not only meant to cultivate beauty, but also to refine their character. The pursuit of these arts was an extension of the samurai's search for balance and inner peace. For the samurai, the act of creating something beautiful was just as important as the act of fighting. Both required discipline, focus, and a deep understanding of one's own mind and spirit. The tea ceremony, known as shinoyu, was one such art form that had a profound impact on samurai culture. The ceremony emphasized the values of humility, simplicity, and respect for others, mirroring the virtues that the samurai upheld in their martial life. The ritual of preparing and drinking tea was an exercise in mindfulness, where each movement was deliberate and precise. The samurai would use the tea ceremony as a way to reflect on their actions, to find peace in the chaos of life, and to cultivate a sense of humility. Calligraphy, or shodo, was another practice that reflected the samurai's spiritual discipline. The art of brush writing was not merely about creating beautiful characters, but about channeling one's inner energy and expressing one's spirit through the brushstroke. The samurai would often practice calligraphy as a form of meditation, using it to center themselves and focus their energy. The act of writing became a way of cultivating virtue and self-discipline, helping the samurai refine their character and inner peace. Poetry, especially in the form of haiku, was another important aspect of samurai culture. The short, structured verses of haiku allowed the samurai to express deep emotions, observations, and reflections on the fleeting nature of life. The samurai valued brevity and simplicity, qualities that were reflected in their poetic forms. Poetry was a way for the samurai to connect with their emotions, express their thoughts, and maintain a sense of balance amidst the chaos of battle and daily life. The samurai's commitment to maintaining a strong spiritual life was essential to their identity. Their spirituality provided them with the inner strength to face adversity, the humility to accept their flaws, and the wisdom to know when to act and when to refrain. The spiritual discipline they practiced helped them maintain a sense of purpose and integrity, whether they were on the battlefield or at home. In the modern world, the samurai's spiritual legacy continues to influence individuals seeking personal growth and self-mastery. People from all walks of life, whether they are practitioners of martial arts or simply those searching for inner peace, look to the samurai as a model of mental clarity, balance, and resilience. The samurai's journey was not just about physical prowess. It was about the continuous pursuit of self-improvement and the cultivation of a disciplined, mindful life. The Samurai Code, a deeper dive into Bushido. At the core of the samurai's identity was the code of ethics they followed, known as Bushido, or the way of the warrior. This code was not a formalized set of rules, but a collection of values and principles that shaped the samurai's behavior both on and off the battlefield. Rooted in Zen Buddhism, Shinto, and Confucianism, Bushido served as a guiding philosophy for samurai life, determining how they lived, fought, and interacted with others. The primary tenets of Bushido were deeply intertwined with the samurai's sense of duty, honor, and self-discipline. While these principles may have evolved over time, their essence remained a constant throughout the samurai's existence. In this section, we'll break down the key aspects of Bushido and explore how these values continue to influence not only modern Japan, but the world at large. 1. GI righteousness. The concept of GI in Bushido refers to righteousness, justice, and moral integrity. For the samurai, GI was the foundation of all their actions. They were expected to act in a way that was not only right in the eyes of their lord, but also morally correct in the broader context of their society. The samurai were taught to recognize what was just and fair and to act accordingly, no matter the personal cost. This principle meant that samurai were bound to their moral compass. They could not act out of self-interest or engage in dishonorable conduct, even if it meant death. The samurai were expected to uphold righteousness. This unwavering commitment to justice was a central theme in many samurai stories, where warriors faced difficult choices that required them to make personal sacrifices in the name of righting a wrong. In modern society, the concept of GI resonates with those who seek to live a life of integrity, where doing what is right is prioritized over personal gain. Whether in business, politics, or personal relationships, GI is a principle that calls for acting with honesty and fairness. 2. Courage. You in Bushido is the principle of courage, not the absence of fear, but the ability to face fear and act in the face of it. The samurai were not fearless warriors. Instead, they possessed the courage to do what was necessary, even when confronted with daunting challenges or peril. This bravery wasn't confined to the battlefield, but extended to all aspects of their lives, including standing up for what was morally right, protecting the weak, or making difficult decisions in times of crisis. The samurai understood that true courage lay in making decisions aligned with their values, even when those decisions came with great personal sacrifice. This form of bravery was not reckless or impulsive, but rather calculated and deliberate, grounded in the samurai's strong sense of duty and responsibility. In today's world, it translates to the courage to stand up for one's beliefs, even when it may not be popular or easy. It calls upon individuals to speak out against injustice, to make bold decisions in their personal or professional lives, and to act with strength even when faced with difficult circumstances. 3. Rei, respect and courtesy. Respect and courtesy, or rei, was one of the most important virtues for the samurai. This principle dictated that they should treat others, regardless of their social status, with dignity and respect. The samurai understood that their honor was not just a reflection of their skill in battle, but also of their conduct in everyday interactions. Politeness and proper manners were essential, and samurai were expected to exhibit humility in the presence of their peers, superiors, and even those of lower social status. Rei also extended to how the samurai conducted themselves in times of peace. Whether performing a tea ceremony, writing poetry, or engaging in conversation, the samurai adhered to the principles of respect. Their commitment to Rei helped maintain harmony within society and promoted the peaceful resolution of conflicts. In the modern context, Rei can be seen in the way people are expected to interact with others, treating everyone with kindness, being mindful of their words, and creating an atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. The samurai's sense of respect remains an integral part of professional and social etiquette today. For Meo honor or Meo, was perhaps the most significant of all the samurai virtues. To a samurai, their honor was paramount. It defined their identity and was a source of both pride and responsibility. A samurai's honor was earned through their deeds and conduct, and it could be lost through acts of cowardice, dishonesty, or betrayal. The importance of maintaining Meo meant that samurai were expected to act with integrity, uphold their promises, and avoid actions that would tarnish their reputation. A samurai's honor could be preserved even in the face of death, which is why seppuku, or ritual suicide, was seen as a way to preserve one's honor when they had fallen short or been dishonored. This willingness to sacrifice their lives for the sake of honor was a key aspect of the samurai's way of life. In modern society, Meo reflects the importance of maintaining one's reputation and acting in a way that upholds personal values and principles. Whether in business or personal relationships, honor remains an essential component of how people are viewed by others. The concept of honor encourages individuals to act with integrity, hold themselves accountable, and protect their reputation at all costs. 5. Chugi loyalty. Loyalty, or chugi, was an essential component of the samurai code. A samurai was expected to be fiercely loyal to their lord, family, and comrades, even above their own personal desires. This loyalty was unconditional and required the samurai to place the interests of their lord or cause above their own safety or well-being. Loyalty also extended to the samurai's relationships with their fellow warriors. Trust and mutual respect formed the foundation of the samurai's bonds with their peers, and betrayal was considered one of the greatest offenses a samurai could commit. In the modern world, chugi can be interpreted as loyalty to one's principles, values, and responsibilities. It encourages individuals to remain true to their commitments, whether to family, work, or society, and underscores the importance of trust and reliability in relationships and leadership. 6. Jin compassion. Though the samurai were warriors, Jin, or compassion, was another crucial virtue that shaped their actions. The samurai understood that their power was not for domination or cruelty, but for protecting the weak and upholding justice. They were taught to be merciful when appropriate, offering kindness and protection to those in need. Compassion was not seen as a weakness, but as an essential quality of a true warrior. While the samurai were trained for battle, they were also expected to show mercy and understanding to their enemies if circumstances allowed. This balance between strength and compassion helped the samurai maintain their sense of humanity amidst the violence of war. In today's world, Jin translates into acts of kindness, empathy, and social responsibility. It calls for the recognition of others' struggles and the willingness to offer help or understanding, whether in personal situations or broader social issues. The samurai and the art of war. The samurai's life was defined not just by their philosophy and spirituality, but also by their skill as warriors. While they were masters of strategy, combat, and discipline, the samurai's art of war was not only about fighting. It was about understanding the deeper principles of conflict and survival. Their training and preparation for battle extended beyond the battlefield, focusing on mental sharpness, leadership, and an unwavering commitment to their code of conduct. Throughout their history, The samurai developed a sophisticated approach to warfare, one that combined physical prowess with strategy, philosophy, and spiritual focus. This holistic approach to war was rooted in their martial culture and was shaped by both their traditional training methods and their understanding of the art of war. 1. Weaponry and combat techniques. The samurai were famous for their exceptional skill with various weapons, but none were more symbolic of the samurai than the katana, their iconic sword. The katana was not just a tool for combat, it was a symbol of the samurai's honor and identity. Samurai swords were forged with meticulous care, combining functionality with artistry. The craftsmanship behind these blades was legendary, and the katana became not only a weapon of war, but a reflection of the samurai spirit. The katana, with its curved blade and single edge, was designed for speed, precision, and fluidity in combat. Samurai were taught to use the katana with deadly effectiveness, mastering techniques such as aido, the art of drawing and cutting with a sword, and kenjutsu, swordsmanship. These combat techniques required not only physical strength, but also a deep understanding of timing, balance, and mental focus. The samurai's connection to their sword was profound. Each blade represented their honor and mastery of the art of war. In addition to the katana, the samurai also used a variety of other weapons, including spears, yari, bows and arrows, yumi, and later firearms. The bow and arrow were crucial to samurai warfare, and skilled archers could strike with deadly precision from horseback, a hallmark of samurai mounted archery. Samurai warriors trained extensively in the use of the bow, perfecting their aim and focus. The rise of firearms in the 16th century presented a new challenge to the samurai, and many samurai, like their ancestors, adapted quickly to incorporate guns into their arsenal. The samurai's diverse weaponry and mastery of combat techniques were not solely for the purpose of fighting. They viewed warfare as a reflection of their principles. The skill, precision, and discipline required to wield these weapons were considered as much a spiritual practice as a physical one. The emphasis on mastery and refinement mirrored their approach to all aspects of their life, whether it was their martial arts training, their cultural pursuits, or their leadership. 2. Strategy and tactics. The art of war was deeply embedded in the samurai's understanding of strategy and tactics. Samurai were taught not only how to fight, but how to think critically about battle. They studied military texts and strategies passed down from ancient China, such as Sun Tzu's The Art of War, and applied these teachings to their own methods of warfare. These texts provided timeless wisdom on the principles of strategy, deception, and the psychological aspects of war, elements that the samurai embraced fully. One key aspect of samurai warfare was the concept of kojo, victory through the right action. Samurai understood that war was not just about strength and numbers, but about positioning, timing, and psychological warfare. They practiced the art of deception, using feints, misdirection, and surprise to outwit their enemies. The samurai understood that a well-timed maneuver could be more effective than brute force. The importance of terrain, timing, and the morale of soldiers was also integral to samurai strategy. A samurai general would always take these factors into account when planning a campaign, ensuring that his forces had the advantage not just in terms of weaponry, but also in positioning and mental preparedness. The ability to read the battlefield and anticipate the movements of the enemy was a skill that separated the most successful samurai commanders from their less experienced counterparts. During battle, samurai leaders would often remain calm and composed, giving clear and decisive orders to their troops. Their role was not only to fight, but to lead, inspire, and maintain the morale of their men. The samurai general's wisdom, leadership, and tactical acumen were crucial to the success of any campaign. The best samurai were not simply warriors, they were master tacticians and thinkers, able to read the ebb and flow of battle and make decisions in real time that could change the outcome of a war. 3. Mental discipline and readiness. The samurai were also trained to be mentally prepared for the challenges they would face in battle. Their approach to combat was deeply rooted in their spiritual practices and their ability to maintain a calm, clear mind was considered a mark of a true warrior. Before engaging in combat, samurai would often practice meditation, which helped to center their thoughts and emotions. This mental clarity allowed them to react swiftly and decisively during battle, without being clouded by fear, doubt, or anger. Samurai were also taught to embrace the concept of mushin, or the mind without disturbance. This was a state of mental clarity in which the mind was free from distractions, allowing the warrior to act without hesitation. Achieving mushin was essential for the samurai, as it enabled them to fight with focus and precision. This mental discipline was not only valuable in combat, but also in their everyday lives. The samurai's ability to maintain inner peace and clarity amidst chaos was a testament to their training and spiritual dedication. The concept of mushin extended beyond battle. It influenced how the samurai approached challenges in general. Whether in personal decisions, leadership, or even art, the ability to maintain a clear mind and not be swayed by emotion was a fundamental aspect of samurai culture. This mental fortitude allowed them to face even the most difficult situations with composure and confidence. 4. The samurai's honor in battle. Honor was the ultimate guiding principle for the samurai on the battlefield. The samurai were not motivated by personal glory or the pursuit of fame. Instead, they fought for their lord, their comrades, and the values that defined their code of conduct. Every action they took on the battlefield was an extension of their honor. Failure to fight with honor was considered a grave disgrace, and the samurai understood that their actions could affect not only their personal reputation, but the reputation of their entire clan. The importance of honor was reflected in the samurai's strict adherence to rules of engagement. Even in the heat of battle, samurai were expected to act according to a sense of justice. They were forbidden from attacking civilians, and it was considered dishonorable to fight against an opponent who was unarmed or not ready for battle. The act of seppuku, ritual suicide, was a way for the samurai to preserve their honor if they had been defeated or acted dishonorably. 5. The legacy of samurai warfare. Though the role of the samurai as warriors diminished with the rise of the Tokugawa shogunate and the eventual modernization of Japan, the principles they upheld in battle have had a lasting impact on both Japanese and global military traditions. The samurai's mastery of strategy, their mental discipline, and their commitment to honor and integrity have influenced not only Japan's military history, but also the broader world of warfare. Military leaders and tacticians around the globe continue to study samurai strategies, adapting them to modern warfare and military leadership. The samurai's emphasis on mental clarity, adaptability, and ethical conduct has transcended the battlefield, influencing various fields such as leadership, business, and personal development. Their approach to conflict, focused on strategy, discipline, and honor, offers timeless lessons for anyone facing challenges, whether in war, work, or personal growth. The samurai and their influence on modern warfare. The influence of the samurai on modern warfare extends far beyond Japan. Their strategies, philosophies, and mindset have made an indelible mark on military tactics, leadership principles, and even the approach to conflict itself. Though the samurai era ended centuries ago, the lessons of the samurai continue to guide military leaders and combatants, offering timeless wisdom that transcends time, culture, and geography. 1. The samurai's strategic mindset. One of the most enduring contributions of the samurai to modern warfare is their strategic mindset. The samurai's understanding of warfare was not just about physical strength or military might, but about careful planning, psychological insight, and resource management. Their approach to battle was about creating a comprehensive strategy that would give them the upper hand, even against more powerful opponents. The samurai believed in the importance of surprise and deception in warfare. Whether through ambushes or the use of misinformation, the samurai understood that the enemy's perception of the situation was just as important as the actual tactics tactics on the ground. Their ability to create confusion and manipulate their enemies' decisions was one of their most effective strategies. This approach to psychological warfare has influenced modern military tactics, where deception operations and psychological operations are key components of strategy. The samurai also excelled at guerrilla warfare, utilizing the terrain and their knowledge of the land to ambush and outmaneuver their opponents. The idea of using unconventional tactics to level the playing field in the face of overwhelming odds remains a key element of modern military strategy, especially in conflicts involving asymmetric warfare, where one side is significantly more powerful than the other. 2. The samurai and modern military leadership. The principles of samurai leadership continue to influence military leaders around the world. In particular, the samurai's emphasis on honor, integrity, and loyalty in leadership has inspired modern-day military leaders and commanders. The samurai understood that true leadership was not about demanding respect, but earning it through actions and decisions. Their leaders were expected to lead by example, showing courage, decisiveness, and fairness. The concept of leading by example was a central tenet of the samurai way of life. A samurai leader was not just someone who commanded from a distance. They were on the front lines, showing their soldiers how to fight, how to think, and how to lead with honor. This sense of shared sacrifice and duty inspired loyalty and respect from their subordinates. In modern military settings, this leadership model has been adopted in many armed forces. Leaders who show courage, uphold strong moral values, and take responsibility for their actions inspire the same loyalty and respect that the samurai leaders commanded from their men. The samurai model of leadership emphasizes not only military skills, but also the importance of ethical conduct, self-discipline, and emotional intelligence. The concept of chugi, loyalty, is particularly significant in this context. Samurai leaders were expected to foster loyalty not only through fear, but through respect. Modern military leaders continue to emphasize the importance of loyalty and trust within the ranks, understanding that cohesive units are more effective in combat. The samurai's idea of loyalty extended beyond the battlefield, influencing relationships between soldiers, commanders, and even civilians. 3. The samurai and modern combat techniques. While samurai combat techniques may seem outdated in the age of guns, tanks, and drones, many modern combat techniques still carry the spirit of the samurai's focus on precision, discipline, and agility. Traditional samurai martial arts, such as kendo and aikido, continue to be practiced today, not just as sports, but as ways of training the mind and body to achieve greater focus and efficiency. The principles behind these arts, focusing on swift, decisive action, precision, and mental clarity, remain highly relevant in modern combat training. In particular, the samurai's emphasis on understanding the opponent's mind and anticipating their next move is reflected in modern military training. Combatants are taught to read the situation and make split-second decisions that could determine the outcome of a confrontation. In addition, modern training in hand-to-hand combat, such as close-quarters battles, CQB, or special forces operations, draws heavily on the samurai's principles of efficiency and adaptability. Like the samurai, modern soldiers are trained to act with precision and control, even in chaotic environments. Whether it's the fluid motion of a sword strike or a tactical maneuver, the samurai's ability to execute a technique with minimal wasted movement remains a guiding principle in many forms of modern martial combat. 4. The samurai and the ethics of war. The samurai's code of Bushido was not just a set of instructions on how to fight. It was also a guide for how to conduct oneself during war, emphasizing ethics and morality even in the heat of battle. Samurai were bound by their code to treat prisoners of war with respect, avoid unnecessary cruelty, and fight with honor. They believed that the warrior's conduct on the battlefield should reflect the ideals of justice, respect, and self-restraint. In modern warfare, where the rules of engagement are often governed by international law, the principles of the samurai have influenced how soldiers are trained to respect the rights of non-combatants, prisoners, and civilians. The samurai's code serves as an early example of what is now known as the laws of war, which seek to protect human dignity even in the most violent of conflicts. The importance of maintaining one's honor on the battlefield is still highly relevant today. In the contemporary world, armies are often held accountable for their actions, particularly with regard to the treatment of prisoners, the protection of civilians, and the use of force. The samurai's belief in honor and integrity continues to inform the modern understanding of ethical conduct in warfare. Additionally, the samurai's understanding of the transient nature of life and the inevitability of death influenced their view of war as a necessary, yet tragic, aspect of life. The samurai accepted death as a part of their duty, and this acceptance of mortality allowed them to fight without fear. In modern warfare, soldiers often confront similar mental challenges, as the reality of life and death in combat is ever present. The samurai's ability to remain calm in the face of death continues to serve as a model for military personnel facing difficult decisions in life or death situations. 5. The samurai in the modern mindset: adaptability and resilience. One of the most powerful lessons the samurai can teach the modern world is adaptability. Although their traditional methods of combat may no longer be relevant in the age of modern warfare, the core principles of adaptability and resilience are as important as ever. Samurai warriors were adept at responding to changing circumstances, adjusting their tactics when necessary, and using their wits and creativity to overcome adversity. These traits are just as valuable today in military strategy and in the broader context of leadership and decision-making. In the business world, adaptability and resilience are also key to success. The samurai mindset, with its focus on continual self-improvement and the ability to remain calm under pressure, can be applied to the challenges of the modern workplace. Leaders in business, like military commanders, must be able to navigate uncertainty, lead their teams through change, and adapt to rapidly evolving conditions. The samurai's ability to face adversity with dignity and resilience is a powerful lesson for individuals in all walks of life. Whether it's facing personal challenges, navigating the complexities of professional life, or responding to global crises, the principles of the samurai can provide guidance on how to confront difficult situations with strength and honor. The samurai's enduring role in Japanese identity and cultural heritage. Though the samurai as a warrior class ended with the Meiji Restoration, their influence on Japanese culture, identity, and society has persisted for centuries. Today, the samurai are seen not just as historical figures, but as symbols of Japan's spirit, integral to the national consciousness. Their legacy is woven into the fabric of modern Japan, shaping its values, traditions, and even its global reputation. 1. The samurai's influence on modern Japanese society. The samurai were instrumental in shaping the values and societal structures that define modern Japan. Their emphasis on loyalty, honor, discipline, and self-improvement continues to be central tenets of Japanese life. These ideals are still reflected in the behavior of individuals and the functioning of organizations in Japan. In contemporary Japan, the concept of loyalty to one's company or family is deeply rooted in the samurai tradition. In the corporate world, employees often demonstrate a high level of dedication, working long hours and maintaining a strong sense of responsibility toward their employer and colleagues. This work ethic can be traced back to the samurai's unwavering loyalty to their lord and the importance of fulfilling one's duties. The samurai's influence can also be seen in Japanese school culture. From a young age, students are taught to respect authority, work together, and exhibit personal discipline, all values that echo the teachings of Bushido. In fact, the educational system in Japan places a significant emphasis on creating well-rounded individuals who are not only academically successful, but also ethical and respectful citizens. The samurai's dedication to improvement and mastery in both physical and mental pursuits has contributed to Japan's exceptional culture of continuous self-improvement. In Japanese martial arts, art, and even business, the pursuit of perfection is seen as a lifelong journey. This philosophy encourages individuals to keep refining their skills, to push through obstacles, and to remain resilient even in the face of challenges. 2. The samurai and the Japanese military. Even after the disbandment of the samurai class, the principles and values they upheld continued to influence the Japanese military. During Japan's period of imperialism and militarization in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, samurai ideals were often invoked to rally the nation and inspire troops. The values of Bushido, honor, loyalty, and self-sacrifice were promoted as a way to cultivate a strong and unified military. During World War II, for instance, the image of the samurai was sometimes used to encourage soldiers to fight with honor and to sacrifice themselves for the emperor and the nation. Though the use of Bushido during this period was controversial, it shows how deeply ingrained the samurai's values were in the fabric of Japanese identity, even when applied in modern warfare. However, it is important to note that the use of samurai ideals during wartime has been criticized, especially in relation to Japan's aggressive expansion during World War II. The extreme emphasis on sacrifice and loyalty to the emperor led to brutal and uncompromising warfare. After Japan's defeat in 1945, there was a significant effort to reform and distance the military from these ideologies. But the connection between the samurai and Japanese military culture remains a significant part of Japan's historical consciousness. 3. The samurai's role in Japanese arts and culture. While the samurai were warriors, their contributions to the arts, philosophy, and literature are equally important. The samurai were expected to pursue cultural pursuits alongside their martial training, and many samurai became accomplished poets, artists, and calligraphers. The integration of art and martial prowess was seen as a reflection of the balance between strength and refinement, a concept that has deeply influenced Japanese culture. The samurai's influence on Japanese aesthetics can still be seen in various cultural practices today. The Japanese tea ceremony, or shinoyu, is one of the most notable cultural practices that was popularized by the samurai. Samurai warriors would often participate in tea ceremonies, which emphasized simplicity, mindfulness, and respect. This practice reflected the samurai's belief that beauty and grace could coexist with the discipline of war. In addition to the tea ceremony, samurai also played a role in the development of haiku, the traditional Japanese form of poetry. Many samurai were poets who captured the beauty of nature, the fleeting nature of life, and their personal reflections in their writings. The samurai's poetic sensibility shaped Japan's literary traditions, and their work continues to be admired and studied today. The samurai also made lasting contributions to Japanese architecture and design. Their castles, such as those in Himeji and Matsumoto, remain important cultural landmarks, showcasing the samurai's strategic use of space, defense, and beauty. The samurai were not just warriors, they were builders of culture, creators of art, and guardians of Japan's aesthetic legacy. 4. The samurai's enduring symbolism in Japanese popular culture. Even in the modern era, the image of the samurai continues to hold immense symbolic power in Japan. From literature to film, the samurai are portrayed as heroic figures who embody the highest ideals of honor, courage, and sacrifice. They are often depicted as lone warriors who stand firm in the face of adversity, maintaining their moral integrity even in the harshest of circumstances. In Japanese cinema, the samurai has become a recurring motif, both as a symbol of Japan's traditional values and as a critique of those same values. Films like Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and Rashomon have made the samurai a global icon, representing the struggle between good and evil, the complexities of human nature, and the costs of living a life bound by honor. These films present the samurai not only as warriors, but as deeply philosophical characters who reflect on the meaning of duty, loyalty, and sacrifice. Modern anime and manga have also continued the samurai tradition, albeit with a more fantastical twist. Series like Rurouni Kenshin, Samurai Champloo, and Afro Samurai have introduced the samurai to new generations, blending traditional elements with modern storytelling. These works often explore themes such as the clash between tradition and modernity, the burden of a warrior's code, and the search for redemption. Timeless themes that are deeply rooted in samurai culture. The enduring popularity of samurai stories in popular culture not only keeps the spirit of the samurai alive, but also allows contemporary audiences to explore the complex ethics and philosophies of the samurai way of life. Whether in films, television shows, or books, the samurai are portrayed as figures who navigate the complexities of duty, honor, and personal struggle, making them relatable to people from all walks of life. 5. Samurai as national symbols and cultural icons. The samurai have become symbols of Japanese national pride. Their values of honor, courage, and discipline are considered quintessentially Japanese, representing the strength and resilience of a nation. The samurai are often used as metaphors for Japan's spirit, able to endure hardship, maintain dignity, and rise above challenges. Even in times of political and economic change, the samurai remain a symbol of Japan's unwavering commitment to its values. In modern Japan, the samurai's image can be found everywhere, from advertising campaigns to government institutions to the branding of products. Their strong association with honor and tradition is often used to evoke a sense of national identity, pride, and continuity with the past. The samurai represent Japan's ability to balance modernity with respect for its rich cultural heritage. The samurai's influence on global culture and identity. While the samurai's roots are firmly planted in Japanese history, their influence extends far beyond Japan. The samurai have become an enduring symbol of honor, discipline, and moral integrity that resonates with people around the world. From literature and film to philosophy and leadership, the samurai's impact has shaped how various cultures view warriors, ethics, and even personal identity. 1. The samurai in Western literature and film. The samurai have captured the imagination of Western audiences for centuries. From the 19th century onward, their stories have been embraced by writers, filmmakers, and artists, becoming iconic representations of honor, duty, and the complexities of human nature. Their moral code, Bushido, which emphasized self-discipline, loyalty, and sacrifice, has often been romanticized and adapted into various forms of Western media. One of the earliest Western accounts of the samurai came through literature, particularly through the work of writers like Inatsu Naido, whose 1900 book Bushido, The Soul of Japan, helped introduce the concept of the samurai's ethical code to a Western audience. Naido's work was instrumental in shaping how the samurai were viewed outside of Japan. His depiction of the samurai's virtues resonated with Western ideas of chivalry and the knightly code, making it easier for people in Europe and North America to relate to these ancient warriors. In the realm of cinema, the samurai have been a powerful influence on Western filmmakers. Classic films such as Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and Yojimbo not only showcased the cultural richness of Japan, but also had a lasting impact on Western films, especially in the Western genre. In fact, Kurosawa's work directly inspired films like The Magnificent Seven, 1960, which took the core story of Seven Samurai and transplanted it into the context of the American Old West. The depiction of a lone, stoic warrior in Western films has often been influenced by the image of the samurai. Characters such as Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name, In a Fistful of Dollars, share many qualities with the samurai, solitary, morally complex figures whose actions are guided by a strong internal code of honor. The samurai's image as noble, self-sacrificial warriors has been incorporated into Western pop culture, becoming synonymous with the heroic archetype. Films like The Last Samurai 2003, starring Tom Cruise, further solidified the samurai's role as an icon of honor, duty, and personal sacrifice. While the film is a dramatized account of the transition from the samurai era to modern Japan, it still presents the samurai as figures who embody a timeless code of ethics, one that transcends cultural boundaries. This depiction helped bridge the gap between the traditional samurai image and modern Western sensibilities, highlighting universal themes of loyalty, respect, and honor. 2. Samurai in the age of globalization. In the age of globalization, the samurai's influence has spread even further. Their values, discipline, respect, loyalty, and self-sacrifice are often celebrated in leadership training, personal development, and even business practices. Many business leaders and entrepreneurs around the world admire the samurai ethos as a model for leadership and organizational structure. The samurai's concept of leading by example, taking responsibility for one's actions, and making sacrifices for the greater good resonates deeply with today's corporate world. In fact, the principles of Bushido have inspired numerous leadership philosophies and business models. The idea of Chugi loyalty is particularly significant as it emphasizes the importance of loyalty not only to one's leader, but also to the company, colleagues, and customers. Rei respect, on the other hand, encourages businesses to foster respectful relationships and strong teamwork, ensuring that ethical conduct is prioritized over self-interest. In addition, the samurai's focus on continuous improvement and striving for excellence aligns with the modern concept of Kaizen, a Japanese philosophy of continuous, incremental improvement. Businesses worldwide, particularly in manufacturing industries, have embraced Kaizen to improve efficiency and quality, underscoring the deep-rooted influence of samurai culture in the global business arena. Beyond business, the samurai's focus on mental discipline and clarity has been influential in the world of self-help and personal development. Concepts like mindfulness, meditation, and mental resilience are central to modern personal growth practices, and these ideas were integral to the samurai's way of life. The samurai's ability to remain calm under pressure, face challenges with dignity, and live with purpose continues to inspire people around the world seeking to develop a stronger sense of self. 3. The samurai and the martial arts community. The samurai's martial prowess and their pursuit of mastery have left a lasting legacy in the global martial arts community. The traditional Japanese martial arts, such as kendo swordsmanship, aido the art of drawing a sword, and kenjutsu sword technique, are all descendants of the combat skills that the samurai developed and refined over centuries. These martial arts are practiced by people all over the world, and their influence extends beyond physical combat. The samurai's principles of discipline, respect, and mental clarity continue to guide practitioners of martial arts, whether they are training for competition, self-defense, or personal growth. The samurai's spiritual and philosophical approach to martial arts emphasizes not only physical techniques, but also the cultivation of the mind. The mental training that accompanies martial arts practice is just as important as mastering the physical movements, reflecting the samurai's belief that combat was not only about defeating an opponent, but also about mastering oneself. Many martial artists today view their practice as a lifelong journey of self-improvement, drawing on the wisdom of the samurai's code. Moreover, the samurai's influence on martial arts extends to the philosophy of Bushido itself. The samurai's commitment to honor, loyalty, and self-discipline has shaped the culture of many martial arts schools and dojos around the world. Martial arts, in many ways, are seen as a way to live by the same code that governed the samurai, emphasizing respect for one's teacher, sensei, for the tradition, and for fellow practitioners. 4. The samurai as a symbol of global identity. In addition to their practical influence in fields like business, martial arts, and leadership, the samurai have become powerful symbols in popular culture and global identity. The samurai embody the values of honor, integrity, and self-control, values that resonate with people from all cultures and backgrounds. They serve as reminders of the potential for individuals to uphold moral principles in the face of adversity. For many, the samurai represent an idealized version of strength and resilience, figures who are bound by a strict code, who strive for personal excellence, and who take responsibility for their actions. In a world often marked by uncertainty, conflict, and change, the samurai offer a timeless example of how to navigate challenges with dignity and honor. As symbols of Japan, the samurai also play an important role in shaping how the world perceives the country. Their image as noble warriors has contributed to Japan's reputation as a nation that values discipline, respect, and perseverance. The samurai have come to represent the spirit of Japan itself, strong, honorable, and steadfast in the face of challenges. From art to film to leadership, the samurai continue to have an outsized influence on global culture. Their enduring legacy, shaped by their devotion to their code of conduct, Their pursuit of excellence and their unwavering courage makes them more than just historical figures. They are timeless symbols of strength and honor for people around the world. The samurai's influence on global philosophy and ethics. The samurai's approach to life, battle, and self-discipline has transcended mere martial skills, impacting global philosophical thought and ethical frameworks. The principles that underpin their way of life, honor, duty, self-restraint, and respect, have not only shaped Japanese society, but have also inspired ethical considerations in the West and around the world. Their profound integration of philosophy into daily life continues to resonate across various domains, from personal development to ethical leadership. 1. The Samurai and Stoicism. Perhaps one of the most striking similarities between the samurai code of conduct and Western philosophy is the connection between the samurai and Stoicism, an ancient Greek school of thought that emphasized virtue, self-control, and rationality. Stoicism advocates for a life led by reason, where individuals focus on controlling their emotions and responses to external events rather than reacting impulsively. The core of Stoic philosophy aligns closely with the samurai's code of Bushido. Both emphasize resilience in the face of adversity, the importance of duty and responsibility, and the cultivation of inner strength. For the samurai, facing death without fear was an essential part of their philosophy. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus similarly taught that we should accept the things we cannot control, like death or the actions of others, and focus our energy on how we respond. Samurai warriors practiced Mushin, the mind without disturbance, a state of mental clarity and calmness that allowed them to respond to any situation with controlled action. This concept closely mirrors the Stoic idea of being unaffected by external chaos. Both philosophies advocate for emotional detachment from the unpredictable nature of life, teaching individuals to act with rationality, honor, and virtue, no matter the circumstances. This shared commitment to virtue over emotion has been embraced by modern thinkers and individuals interested in ethical living. Many who turn to Stoicism for guidance also find inspiration in the samurai's way of life, incorporating both philosophies into their pursuit of moral clarity and inner peace. 2. Bushido and the development of modern ethics. While many people are familiar with the samurai's martial skills, few realize that their code of ethics has influenced modern ethical frameworks. The Bushido Code, with its strong emphasis on loyalty, justice, and personal responsibility, has become a model for ethical behavior in various fields. In particular, Bushido has had an impact on leadership theories. The samurai's sense of loyalty to their lord and comrades teaches modern leaders about the importance of trust and responsibility in relationships. A leader who embodies loyalty and honor creates a bond of mutual respect with their team, much like the samurai did with their comrades. Furthermore, the principle of Meo honor has shaped the modern concept of reputation. In today's world, the importance of one's reputation in both personal and professional spheres reflects the samurai's belief in maintaining their honor at all costs. This concept of honor, protecting one's integrity, upholding promises, and taking responsibility for one's actions, resonates deeply in global ethical frameworks today. The samurai's dedication to self-discipline also influenced contemporary thought on self-control and personal ethics. Many modern philosophies, such as the virtue ethics of Aristotle, focus on the development of good character traits through habitual practice. The samurai exemplified this in their daily lives, continuously working to perfect their skills, maintain inner harmony, and live by their code. Their commitment to improving themselves mirrors the modern belief in the importance of character development and personal growth. 3. The samurai as ethical icons in popular culture. The portrayal of the samurai in films and media often emphasizes the moral and ethical dilemmas that these warriors face. Their struggle to balance duty, personal desires, and the greater good continues to capture the imagination of audiences around the world. Samurai films, particularly those by Akira Kurosawa, focus on the internal conflicts faced by warriors who are bound by honor but challenged by changing times and circumstances. In Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, the titular heroes are depicted not only as skilled warriors, but as deeply moral individuals who grapple with the consequences of their actions. They fight not for personal gain, but for the protection of the helpless. The film emphasizes that the true measure of a samurai is not in their ability to defeat an enemy, but in their willingness to sacrifice for the greater good. These themes, sacrifice, duty, and honor, are as relevant in contemporary discussions of ethics and morality as they were in the samurai era. Similarly, the character of Rurouni Kenshin in manga and anime represents the ethical warrior archetype. Kenshin, a former samurai, wanders Japan, seeking redemption for his past as an assassin. The themes of redemption, personal responsibility, and moral integrity are central to the character's journey, echoing the ethical challenges that the samurai faced throughout their history. In both traditional and modern representations, the samurai serve as symbols of the ethical struggle between one's duty and one's inner moral compass. For the samurai and environmental ethics. In the context of global environmental ethics, the samurai's reverence for nature has inspired many to rethink the relationship between humanity and the natural world. While the samurai were known for their martial prowess, they were also deeply connected to nature. The practice of Shinto, which emphasizes the worship of natural spirits and harmony with the environment, was a core belief of the samurai. This respect for nature influenced their approach to battle, where they saw nature as a reflection of divine power. The samurai often sought balance and harmony in every aspect of their lives, including their relationship with nature. This respect for the environment is mirrored in modern movements that emphasize sustainability and environmental stewardship. The concept of honoring nature and understanding the interconnectedness of all living things resonates strongly with today's environmentalists and eco-activists, who view the world in terms of ecological balance and mutual respect for all forms of life. Incorporating a deep sense of respect for the environment into ethical frameworks and societal values is an idea that has its roots in the samurai tradition. The samurai's belief that one's actions should reflect a broader sense of responsibility toward the community, the land, and future generations can inspire current movements to protect the planet and its resources. 5. The samurai's influence on modern mindfulness and meditation. Finally, the mental discipline and focus of the samurai continue to play a significant role in the growing global interest in mindfulness, meditation, and other contemplative practices. The samurai's practice of zazen Zen meditation was integral to their ability to remain calm and focused, whether on the battlefield or in daily life. In today's fast-paced world, where stress and distractions are common, the samurai's mindfulness techniques serve as an inspiration for modern mindfulness practices. The mental clarity that the samurai achieved through their meditation and self-discipline is reflected in contemporary meditation and mindfulness practices aimed at improving focus, reducing stress, and cultivating a calm, present mind. The samurai believed in the importance of mushin, the mind without disturbance, which allowed them to act decisively and with clarity, a principle that modern mindfulness practitioners strive to embody. Mindfulness practices have become increasingly popular worldwide, helping individuals navigate the complexities of modern life. Whether through formal meditation techniques, breathing exercises, or simple acts of presence, people today continue to draw on the wisdom of the samurai to cultivate a calm and disciplined mind in the midst of chaos. The samurai in modern education and personal development. The samurai's lasting impact on global culture extends beyond philosophy and ethics. It's deeply embedded in education and personal development. Today, many educational systems and personal growth philosophies incorporate values that trace their origins to the samurai. These values, self-discipline, respect, loyalty, continuous self-improvement, are foundational to personal and professional growth in the modern world. 1. The samurai influence in modern education. In Japan, the samurai's influence on education is perhaps most clearly seen in the values emphasized in the school system. From early education through university, students are taught the importance of discipline, loyalty, respect, and hard work. Values that are rooted in the samurai code of conduct. The concept of Bushido is often used as a moral framework for students to understand the significance of ethical behavior, the importance of duty, and the necessity of perseverance in the face of challenges. In fact, in traditional Japanese schooling, respect for teachers and elders, a strong work ethic, and a deep sense of responsibility are taught as essential qualities. Just as the samurai were expected to maintain discipline and remain loyal to their lord, students are encouraged to be loyal to their studies, their school, and their responsibilities. Japanese school culture mirrors the samurai way of life by fostering a strong sense of collective responsibility. Students learn to work together, show respect to their peers and superiors, and take pride in their education and accomplishments. Just as samurai warriors were expected to excel in all areas of life, modern Japanese students are often encouraged to strive for excellence in both their academic and personal lives. Outside of Japan, educational institutions and leaders have adopted samurai principles as part of leadership and personal development curricula. Many modern-day motivational speakers, business consultants, and educators refer to the samurai's values to inspire people to work hard, remain disciplined, and focus on continuous improvement. These principles, rooted in the samurai tradition, are applied to teach students the importance of perseverance and personal integrity, qualities that are vital for success in the modern world. 2. Samurai philosophy in personal growth and self-improvement. The samurai's emphasis on personal growth and mastery continues to influence modern self-improvement philosophies. At the heart of the samurai's code was a dedication to continuous self-betterment, striving not only to master the art of combat, but to improve oneself spiritually, mentally, and morally. This holistic approach to personal development is echoed in contemporary philosophies such as self-mastery, mindfulness, and the pursuit of excellence. In personal development today, the core idea is that true success and growth are not just about external achievements, but about the cultivation of inner strength, discipline, and focus. The samurai's way of life, which emphasized balance between physical strength and mental clarity, serves as a model for those looking to improve themselves in both their professional and personal lives. A key aspect of personal development influenced by the samurai is the practice of setting high standards for oneself. Samurai warriors would constantly refine their skills through repetition and hard work, striving for perfection in their martial practices, poetry, and calligraphy. Similarly, modern personal development advocates encourage individuals to push themselves to reach their full potential, whether through work, education, or personal challenges. The concept of Kaizen, the Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement, is rooted in the samurai's dedication to self-discipline and personal growth. This principle has been adopted by countless organizations and individuals worldwide to foster ongoing progress, whether in business practices, athletic performance, or personal well-being. The samurai's unwavering commitment to improvement, no matter how small the step, continues to inspire modern personal growth efforts. 3. The samurai as role models for leadership. Leadership, one of the core aspects of samurai life, has long been studied and applied in the context of modern organizational development. The samurai leader was expected to embody the virtues of Bushido, honor, discipline, and loyalty, and to lead by example. Samurai leadership was not about exerting power over others, but inspiring and earning the loyalty of subordinates through ethical behavior, strategic thinking, and personal sacrifice. Today, this approach to leadership is considered a cornerstone of effective leadership practices. Contemporary leaders often draw inspiration from the samurai's focus on service to others and their commitment to ethical behavior. Leaders in business, education, and politics are increasingly encouraged to lead with integrity, taking responsibility for their decisions and actions, and prioritizing the welfare of their teams or communities. These leadership principles align closely with samurai ideals, which emphasize the importance of loyalty, self-sacrifice, and the duty to protect others. Samurai leaders were also expected to lead with empathy and understanding, recognizing the emotional and moral needs of their followers. This idea of compassionate leadership has gained prominence in modern leadership frameworks, which emphasize emotional intelligence, interpersonal skills, and the ability to motivate and inspire teams through empathy and respect. The samurai strategic mindset also provides valuable lessons in decision-making. Samurai generals and warriors were known for their ability to anticipate their enemy's moves and think several steps ahead. This emphasis on strategic thinking and long-term vision is integral to modern leadership in business and politics, where leaders must make informed decisions that take into account both immediate needs and future consequences. 4. Samurai principles in modern work ethics. The samurai's work ethic continues to influence professional environments around the world. In Japan, the concept of ganbak, doing one's best, is central to professional life and is closely related to the samurai's dedication to mastering their craft and fulfilling their duties to the highest standard. Workers, like the samurai, are encouraged to focus on their tasks with determination and precision, always striving to improve their performance and contribute to the collective success of the organization. In the business world, the samurai's commitment to quality, craftsmanship, and excellence has inspired the development of practices such as total quality management, TQM, and lean manufacturing. These practices emphasize continuous improvement, efficiency, and attention to detail, principles that the samurai embodied in their daily lives, whether they were engaged in battle or practicing the arts. Additionally, the samurai's focus on perseverance through adversity can be seen in modern work ethics that prioritize resilience. In today's rapidly changing work environment, professionals are expected to remain adaptable, overcoming challenges and setbacks while maintaining a sense of purpose. Just as the samurai were expected to endure hardship and continue to fight with honor, modern workers are encouraged to persist in the face of obstacles and remain dedicated to achieving their goals. 5. Samurai and the modern sense of honor. The concept of honor is central to the samurai's worldview, and it continues to be an important concept in modern life. Whether in business, personal relationships, or civic duties, honor serves as a guide for ethical decision-making and moral conduct. In many ways, the samurai's sense of honor in battle mirrors the modern-day importance of maintaining one's integrity and reputation in all areas of life. For modern individuals, the samurai's commitment to honor offers a blueprint for how to live with integrity, stand by one's principles, and make decisions that reflect a strong moral compass. The idea that one's reputation and honor are worth protecting at all costs is still deeply relevant in today's interconnected world, where personal actions and public image are closely scrutinized. The samurai's role in shaping global pop culture. The influence of the samurai on global pop culture is undeniable, and their image as disciplined, honorable warriors has permeated virtually every form of entertainment, from literature and film to video games and fashion. Today, the samurai are one of Japan's most iconic cultural exports, representing a blend of ancient wisdom, martial prowess, and spiritual depth that resonates with audiences worldwide. In this section, we'll explore how the samurai have shaped and continue to influence pop culture across the globe. 1. The samurai in cinema. One of the most significant ways the samurai have influenced global pop culture is through cinema. Japanese samurai films, particularly those by legendary filmmaker Akira Kurosawa, have had a profound impact on both Japanese and international cinema. Kurosawa's films, such as Seven Samurai (1954), Yojimbo (1961), and Rashomon (1950), not only elevated the status of Japanese cinema, but also contributed to the evolution of the action genre globally. Seven Samurai, in particular, is often cited as one of the greatest films ever made and has inspired countless Western adaptations. It was reimagined as The Magnificent Seven 1960, a classic American Western film. The themes explored in these films, the clash of tradition and modernity, the idea of sacrifice for the greater good, and the internal moral struggles of the samurai, are universal and have influenced generations of filmmakers. Beyond Kurosawa, the samurai have inspired countless other films, from The Last Samurai 2003, which dramatizes the final years of the samurai class during the Meiji Restoration, to more modern action films that borrow the archetype of the lone warrior guided by a strict code. Films such as Kill Bill 2003 by Quentin Tarantino also showcase samurai-inspired themes, with characters practicing swordsmanship, martial arts, and exploring themes of vengeance, honor, and redemption. Samurai films have influenced Hollywood and global action films by introducing the concept of a code of honor that governs how characters behave in times of war and peace. The appeal of the lone, disciplined warrior who upholds justice, even at personal cost, resonates universally and continues to inspire modern cinematic storytelling. 2. The samurai in literature. The samurai's influence extends into the literary world as well. Classic works of literature, such as Hagakure, the Book of the Samurai, written by Yamamoto Tsunotomo in the early 18th century, have captivated readers for centuries, providing insight into the samurai ethos and code of conduct. Hagakure is considered a spiritual and philosophical text, offering guidance on loyalty, duty, and the nature of self-sacrifice. In the Western world, authors have often turned to samurai philosophy and the concept of Bushido to explore themes of honor, duty, and personal struggle. Writers like Yukio Mishima, one of Japan's most famous post-war authors, explored the paradoxical relationship between the samurai code and the modern world in works, such as the Sea of Fertility series and Patriotism. Moreover, many popular novels and series across genres have incorporated samurai-like characters or themes. The archetype of the honorable warrior has appeared in fantasy novels, science fiction, and historical fiction. Authors like J.R.R. Tolkien in The Lord of the Rings and George R.R. Martin in A Song of Ice and Fire have drawn inspiration from the moral dilemmas and virtues that define samurai culture. Even in the realm of graphic novels and manga, the samurai have a massive presence. Manga series like Rurouni Kenshin, Vagabond, and Samurai Champloo have created engaging stories that not only focus on action, but delve into the emotional, philosophical, and ethical dilemmas that samurai warriors face. These works introduce the samurai ethos to a younger generation, blending historical themes with modern storytelling. 3. The samurai in video games. In the digital age, the samurai have made a significant impact on the world of video games. From fighting games to expansive role-playing games, RPGs, the samurai's appeal as warriors and characters of honor is a recurring theme in gaming culture. Ghost of Tsushima 2020, a critically acclaimed RPG set during the Mongol invasion of Japan, stands as one of the most popular video games that has brought the samurai tradition into the modern gaming era. The game immerses players in the role of a samurai, allowing them to experience a beautiful open-world Japan while facing moral decisions rooted in samurai philosophy. Other games like Nioh, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and Total War Shogun 2 feature samurai as key characters, allowing players to explore the intricacies of combat, strategy, and ethical dilemmas similar to those faced by actual samurai. These games showcase not just the martial prowess of the samurai, but also their personal struggles, internal conflicts, and moral choices, all of which are central to their identity as warriors. The popularity of these games can be attributed to the global fascination with the samurai as archetypes of discipline, honor, and sacrifice. The interactive nature of gaming allows players to step into the shoes of these legendary warriors, exploring the moral complexities of their lives and decisions in a way that movies and books cannot always offer. Video games today are not only a form of entertainment, but also a way to engage with deep philosophical themes, many of which are inspired by samurai traditions. 4. The samurai in fashion and aesthetics. Beyond entertainment, the samurai's visual style and aesthetic have also influenced global fashion and design. Samurai armor, with its intricate patterns, fine craftsmanship, and attention to detail, has inspired contemporary fashion designers to incorporate elements of this historic dress into modern clothing collections. The sleek, functional look of samurai armor, combined with the symbolic significance of the armor, has found its way into streetwear, luxury fashion, and accessories. The samurai's love for beauty and simplicity can also be seen in Japan's minimalist aesthetic, which has become highly influential in global design, architecture, and interior decoration. The samurai's use of space, their appreciation for simplicity, and their pursuit of harmony are reflected in modern Japanese architecture, furniture, and home decor. These principles of design prioritize clean lines, functionality, and elegance, traits that are central to both traditional samurai culture and modern global aesthetics. Samurai-inspired tattoos also remain popular worldwide, as individuals seek to express values such as strength, honor, and resilience. The image of the samurai warrior, often depicted with a katana sword and stoic expression, serves as a powerful symbol of personal integrity and the enduring influence of their legacy. 5. The samurai as a symbol of resistance and identity. In a broader sense, the samurai have come to symbolize resilience, defiance, and resistance against oppression. In both historical and modern contexts, the image of the samurai has been used to convey the spirit of rebellion and personal freedom. During the Meiji Restoration, the samurai were ultimately forced to surrender their privileges, but their code of conduct remained a symbol of traditional Japanese values. Today, the samurai are often invoked by movements advocating for the preservation of cultural heritage and resistance to modernization or outside influences. For marginalized groups around the world, the samurai also represent an idealized version of fighting for one's beliefs, regardless of the odds. The samurai's struggle to balance personal duty and the greater good has been adopted by individuals and groups seeking to make a stand for justice, equity, and human rights. Their legacy, rooted in self-discipline and honor, continues to inspire those who face adversity in the fight for a better future. The everlasting legacy of the samurai. The samurai, a class of warriors that once walked the lands of Japan, may no longer exist in the form they once did, but their legacy remains as vital and influential today as it was in centuries past. From their martial arts to their code of ethics, from their leadership to their philosophy, the samurai continue to inspire, educate, and captivate people worldwide. The enduring power of their influence lies not just in their swords or their battles, but in the values they upheld and the way those values continue to resonate in the modern world. 1. The samurai's legacy in modern society. The samurai were not just warriors, they were ethical leaders, artists, philosophers, and intellectuals. They embodied a complex set of values, principles, and practices that have shaped not only Japanese society, but also global cultures. Their devotion to honor, loyalty, and integrity remains a model for how individuals, leaders, and societies can navigate adversity, make difficult decisions, and live a life of purpose. In Japan, the samurai's influence is seen in everything from education to the corporate world, from martial arts to public service. The values of discipline, respect, and honor that the samurai upheld still permeate everyday life in Japan, influencing the behavior and expectations of individuals in both personal and professional spheres. For the rest of the world, the samurai offer a lens through which we can examine our own values and behaviors. Their impact on leadership, ethics, and personal development can be seen in Western concepts of business management, military strategy, and even personal growth philosophies. The samurai's principles of resilience, continuous self-improvement, and the pursuit of excellence have been adopted by countless individuals seeking to cultivate a strong, honorable, and disciplined life. 2. The samurai and global philosophy. The principles of Bushido, the samurai's ethical code, have influenced both Eastern and Western philosophies. From Stoicism's emphasis on emotional control and duty to the samurai's own ideas of loyalty and honor, there are clear philosophical parallels that continue to shape contemporary thought. The samurai's commitment to honor, courage, and self-restraint resonates deeply with modern discussions about personal integrity, leadership ethics, and moral conduct in both personal and professional life. The samurai's approach to war, honor, and personal sacrifice also speaks to larger ethical questions about duty, justice, and human nature. In times of conflict, the samurai offer a model for how one might navigate the moral complexities of war and leadership. Even in the 21st century, their principles remain relevant as we seek to build ethical societies and confront the moral dilemmas that arise in our modern world. 3. The samurai's influence in popular culture and media. The samurai's influence in modern pop culture is undeniable. Whether through films, literature, video games, or fashion, Their image as honorable warriors continues to captivate audiences worldwide. Samurai films, from Kurosawa's masterpieces to contemporary adaptations, have defined the action genre and inspired countless stories of lone heroes and the eternal struggle between good and evil. The symbolism of the samurai has transcended its historical roots, becoming a global icon of strength, discipline, and moral clarity. Samurai figures have become central to narratives of redemption, resistance, and personal transformation, resonating deeply with people from all cultures. Through these stories, the samurai ethos continues to inspire individuals to live with purpose, honor their commitments, and strive for excellence. For the samurai's lasting message: honor, duty, and sacrifice. Ultimately, the samurai's greatest gift to the world is not just their martial skills, but their unwavering commitment to living according to a code that prioritizes duty, honor, and sacrifice. In an era where values are often challenged, the samurai offer us a timeless reminder of the importance of living with integrity, remaining loyal to our principles, and serving a greater good. The message of the samurai is one of balance between personal desires and duty to others, between physical strength and mental discipline, between honor and humility. The samurai way is not just for warriors, but for all individuals who seek to lead a life of meaning and purpose. In the end, the samurai remind us that true strength is not measured by the ability to fight, but by the ability to act with honor in every situation, to maintain discipline in the face of adversity, and to live a life aligned with one's values and principles. The samurai's legacy lives on in those who choose to live with integrity, honor their commitments, and continually strive for excellence. 5. A legacy that transcends time. The samurai may have been warriors of the past, but their legacy is one that transcends time, culture, and geographical borders. Their influence is felt in modern Japan, across the globe, and in the hearts of those who seek to live a life of purpose, courage, and moral clarity. In our ever-changing world, the samurai's code offers us a guiding light, an enduring example of what it means to live honorably and with integrity, no matter the circumstances. The samurai may no longer walk the earth, but their spirit remains, alive in the hearts of those who choose to embody the virtues they held dear. It is through the preservation of their legacy, the continued study of their philosophy, and the example they set that we keep their memory alive and allow their values to inspire future generations.